Good morning, everybody, and it is a good morning. What is it? Monday, the 12th of January. This is Breakfast with Roger and Friends on WAZU FM 90.7, also on YouTube, and we're just a tad bit late getting on. You know, I get so busy, and good morning, Terry Chamberlain.
Good morning.
I get so busy updating the weather and doing some other things that I absolutely lose track of the time. And I happen to turn to look at the clock on the computer. At the same time, one of our regular listeners was calling to harass us, saying, "You're not on YouTube yet." And anyway, we were just a wee bit late, but it's never too late for fun time on our, now, gosh, let's see, we started in November of 2002, the longest running morning show in Peoria radio. We had some ups and downs in the interim. I won't tell you where all we've been, but we've been there, done that. And Dave Poles is arriving as the school bus dropped him off in front of the building. Exactly right. Good to see you. Of course, everybody is alive and excited over Indiana's win, and we'll talk about it with the only guy in Peoria radio that was at the game in Atlanta, Georgia, Dr. Gene Sidler. And he'll not only tell you about the exciting time watching, because his son attended the University of Indiana, and how much he paid. He took a second mortgage out on his house in order to get tickets, what they were selling. And, you know, part of it is generated by people, organizations that buy blocks of tickets at the fair market price and then jack them up and walk away with a big profit. But he was there. And obviously everybody except for Dave Poles and Kyle Varnold and John Meisinger are, I thought you'd be wearing black today because the Bears did it again.
Not going to mention, but we will mention it.
And I was among many because I talked to other Bear fans who changed channels at halftime, and I was one of those. Went home, had a little snack, went to bed, thought, well, I'll see what the final score was. And the Bears, with 34 seconds left, were leading. I said, "Oh, ye of little faith." And how'd you handle it, Dave? Okay, are you on medication today?
As we know, I do like the men in green. And, you know, I was driving home from St. Louis the first half, so, of course, listening to it at XM Radio. And I'm thinking, well, this is nice.
Yeah,
we'll get to about Lincoln. I said, very nice. We'll kind of cruise in halftime, watch it. Get home, turn the TV on, and I'm like, what day is this?
Yeah.
So I did look and see, was this last week's game I was looking at?
Was this a rerun?
But unfortunately, it was not. Well, or however you look at it, fortunately or unfortunately. But, and the
it's never over until it's over, right?
The great irony, too, earlier that day, I was down in St. Louis helping my son move into a new house. And, of course, one of the late Christmas presents was a Jordan Love jersey that I gave him. And he was very excited. He was putting it on.
Oh, I will say yes, wonderful.
Yeah, so maybe it was not a good thing to do. Maybe I cursed the game. I don't know. But
you know, isn't it interesting, though? We all think about what did we do that may have contributed to the win or the loss.
I think there was that one little thing I did, tilted it a little bit. But so I'm got to be very quiet, and hopefully I didn't do anything, right?
Well, I hope so. It'll be interesting because all of us have a certain amount of insane loyalty to the team up to a point. And the Bears, once again in the first half, were so bad that it was downright depressing. I thought, you know, make this an exciting, interesting game. But for Bear fans, it wasn't. What was it, 21-3 at half? What was it?
6 or 7? 21-3. Yes, I got it right.
I thought it was 21-3.
Yeah, it was 21-3.
They had not looked good offensively, defensively. And I will say the game they had on last night was boring between New England and Los Angeles. That was absolute professional football teams, and neither one had been able to score a touchdown. Give me a break there, Senator. any rate, there's no joy in Green Bay this morning, and we'll see. I believe the Bears will face off. Well, we'll get the details on
You will.
sports coming up with Dave Poles, and we'll also talk to Dr. Gene Sidler at 7:15. We do have a pretty special show this morning, one of the best ever, you might say, because we have Terry Chamberlain here, Dave Poles. We do believe, possibly, that John Meisinger might be joining us. Could be, maybe.
There is a rumor that
There
he
is a
may,
rumor floating around.
So he just kind of we're the preliminary crew, perhaps, right? We're the the entertainment.
You're laying, the opening act, you
Yes,
might
yeah,
say.
there we
But not really. Any rate, we'll talk to John Sidler, and Mr. Weather Kyle Varnold will join us, and some other special guests, the Republican candidate for the nomination for governor, Darren Bailey. We will talk to him by phone this morning, get a little better acquainted with Darren. We'll also talk to former Mayor Jim Ardis, former Congressman Ray LaHood, and one of the reasons we will be talking to the former mayor and Ray LaHood is we have lost another distinguished, well-known, and very popular Peoria businessman that is, we'll talk about the loss of George Jacob, the owner and president of Brewers Distributing. And so there's some sadness in our news this morning. But speaking of news, let's do what we do every morning, bring you the most comprehensive news in Peoria radio right here on WAZU. And we'll start with the weather, brought to you by who else? Mr. Weather, Kyle Varnold of Fortner Insurance. Kyle is an insurance professional. He can review your portfolio of coverage for home, auto, life, and health. And you can reach him today at area code 309-682-0519. That number again is 682-0519. And currently our temperature 25 degrees. But for the details on the weather, here's Dave.
Well, what a great Monday indeed. You know, before I start the weather, it's kind of interesting what a change. Last Monday we came in, the Christmas tree was down in our lobby. It's not there. It's replaced by a plant today. So that must mean it's January, everybody. And as we look at January, mostly sunny and windy this morning. It's going to be cloudy now, but it's going to be sunny and a high of 45 degrees today. So that'll be a nice day. Maybe get those cars washed, right? Tonight, cloudy and 34. Now, tomorrow it's going to be clouding up a little bit and breezy and even a little warmer than today, high of 52. Tomorrow night, cloudy and 33. Now, unfortunately, Wednesday rears its head with a cloudy 30% chance for afternoon snow showers, a high of near 38 early, that is, as the temperature declines Wednesday afternoon. We'll get into a chilly Wednesday evening, but then rebounding Thursday, sunny and 28. Friday, chance for afternoon snow. High of 37 as we head into a very chilly January weekend. But let's get through the week first, right? Currently, we're holding at 25 degrees.
All right, thank you kindly. And now we begin with the news brought to you by Spoon River Home Health. Those folks have been helping people with home health care since 1993, and they have a great staff of nurses, therapists, and home care assistants. They're locally owned and operated, and you can reach the people at Spoon River Home Health 24/7 at 309-245-0723. Now the news, Terry.
Well, funeral services will be held at 10:30 this morning for Peoria hockey legend Mark Olson. Visitation will be 1 hour before the services at St. Thomas Catholic Church in Peoria Heights. The 98-year-old Olson died Saturday, January 3rd.
It's with sadness we report the death of well-known Peoria businessman George Jacob, owner and president of Brewers Distributing Company for Anheuser-Busch. Jacob was appointed to the city council in 2005 to replace Jim Ardis, who was elected mayor. Jacob suffered major injuries in a motorcycle accident on a motocross track in Hollis Township. That happened in 2010 that left him paralyzed. Despite his condition, he continued his contributions to numerous charitable causes and agencies. We'll talk with former Mayor Jim Ardis after the 6:30 news this morning, followed by a conversation with former Congressman Ray LaHood.
A deadly plane crash in Colombia claimed 6 lives, including popular singer Jason Jimenez. The 34-year-old and 5 others on his staff died when their plane crashed moments after takeoff. They were to perform in Medellin.
Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell is under investigation by the Justice Department. Powell and other members of the Federal Reserve Board have received grand jury subpoenas related to testimony Powell gave at a recent Senate hearing into renovation costs of the Federal Reserve building in Washington, D.C.
Many financial experts are awaiting a decision from the Supreme Court about President Trump's use of tariffs. A lot of money is at stake if the Supreme Court rules President Trump does not have the authority to impose tariffs. Some retail companies like Costco, Revlon, and Kawasaki Motors have filed lawsuits demanding refunds of tariff money they had to pay to the U.S. government for foreign products they purchased.
If the Supreme Court rules against the White House, it could trigger at least $150 billion in refunds and a negative impact on the stock market. Political analysts say it could cost the United States a major negotiating tool.
They're still protesting at opposite ends of the world. Protests in Minneapolis continue after the shooting death of a woman who hit an ICE agent with her vehicle, while thousands in Iran are calling for the end of government rule because of the country's poor economy and corruption in high places. At least 500 people have been killed by Iranian police and troops. More than 10,000 people have been arrested.
President Trump has warned Iranian leaders to stop killing protesters. Supreme leader of the country, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, said his military would attack U.S. and Israeli bases in the Middle East in retaliation if there is any foreign interference.
Authorities in West Point, Mississippi, have arrested a 24-year-old man for murdering 6 people, 4 in his own family. The 2 others were a church pastor and the pastor's brother. Behind bars is Derica Moore. No reason for the shootings has been determined as of this morning.
In local news, Peoria Mayor Rita Ali has issued an email announcing the decision to cancel a couple of Martin Luther King events. The mayor said there would be no Freedom March or commemorative service leadership awards ceremony, but gave no reason. However, the annual Martin Luther King Luncheon, Monday, January 19th, is still on. The Peoria Civic Center event this year features the controversial Sonny Hoskin, co-host on the ABC program, The View. Those are some of the stories we're following. Now we turn to WCBU for their news. Good morning.
From the WCBU newsroom, I'm John Norton. The Peoria City Council will vote on a new 3-year collective bargaining agreement with city firefighters at this week's meeting. The city and firefighters Local 50 began negotiating on the new contract last fall. The new deal has a 5% wage increase this year, followed by 4% and 3% raises in the following years. The union members voted to ratify the agreement last Tuesday. The ICE agent who shot and killed a woman in Minnesota last week is a 2001 graduate of Peoria Richwoods High School. 43-year-old Jonathan Ross shot and killed Renee Good, a 37-year-old mother, as she tried to drive away from ICE officers. WCBU confirmed Ross's identity through an examination of school and court records. Trump administration officials have defended Ross's actions without naming him. A Republican candidate running for a second time to unseat Governor J.B. Pritzker is proposing an Illinois version of DOGE. Darren Bailey is a former legislator and downstate farmer. He says Illinois has a government waste and fraud problem. The conservative is suggesting an Elon Musk-style deep dive into spending, minus the mass firing of workers, and then publicly reporting the findings. That's even though Illinois already has a state auditor general who does that kind of oversight.
It's time for a fresh start and a fresh new look so that the people of Illinois can, and I believe will, have confidence in leadership in Illinois.
Bailey lost to Pritzker in 2022 by double digits. And a new law in Illinois requires schools to come up with a process for when a student's citizenship status is called into question. Democratic State Senator Karina Villa of Chicago sponsored the Safe Schools for All Act. She says if immigration enforcement comes to a school, you might have
someone at the front office who's frazzled. When they see someone in uniform, they call the student down, or they start going through the files without knowing that maybe what they're doing is harmful for the student.
The bill prohibits a child from being denied a free public education based on perceived or actual citizenship status. I'm John Norton, WCBU News.
All right, let's get into the world of sports. And Dave Foles is here with sitting in for the vacationing John Meisinger. Good morning.
He is vacationing, but I'll tell you what, it was a chilly weekend, but a very, very hot and warm roundup of sports, right? Lots going on. Where do we start? Well, let's take a look, and I'm sure it's on everybody's mind this past Saturday evening, that comeback. The Chicago Bears rallied from a 21-3 halftime deficit, as we know, and then, of course, I would say the best word to say is they stunned the Green Bay Packers 31-27 at Soldier Field. Caleb Williams throwing for 381 yards and 2 touchdowns, including that game winner to DJ Moore. So, again, taking a look as they move on this coming weekend, we'll figure out all those divisional round things this coming weekend. Elsewhere, looking around the NFL, let's take a look around the horn here. The Rams edging the Panthers 34-31. 49ers upsetting the Eagles 23-19 in Philadelphia. And the Bills holding off Jacksonville 27-24. And then, of course, the nightcap last evening, as we said earlier, too, kind of a ho-hum game, maybe, perhaps. Patriots over the Chargers 16-3. Tonight we'll have one more looking at the Texans versus the Steelers, and then we'll be kind of set because those 8 teams are going to go on to the NFL divisional round next weekend. So it just gets more and more exciting, right? Let's take a look, since we are talking, shifting gears a little bit in the NBA. Knicks leading the Trailblazers 109-104 late last night. 76ers and Raptors are tied at 86-86 at the 4th in Toronto last evening. And, of course, the Heat are holding a 59-54 break. So it was kind of a lot of action last night in the NBA. However, let's take a look at Big Ten basketball, which is where we find some excitement and kind of locally, correct? Illinois goes on the road and they beat Iowa 75-69 behind 19 from Keaton Wagler. So what a great game. Nebraska, and I think there's a lot of good things happening in Nebraska, right? Not just volleyball, also their basketball. Nebraska staying perfect at 16-0, erasing a 16-point deficit to beat Indiana behind 32 from Lamar Wilkinson. Wisconsin knocking off Michigan. Now, there was something, right?
That was a big upset.
Yes, that was. 91-88. I'll tell you what, that was quite a game. And what's interesting, too, is Michigan was the number 2 team, and that changes things a little bit. Speaking of the rankings, the top 25, as we look heading into the new week, Arizona is going to take the number 1 spot in the top 25. Nebraska, as we mentioned earlier, will be the number 4 ranking in our top 25. So Big Ten basketball is kind of in good shape, isn't it? Let's move locally. Bradley University outlasted Northern Iowa 75-69 at Carver Arena, and they're 12-6 on the season now. Jaquan Johnson led with 17 points, and Ahmet Janovic added key second half scoring. Of course, that does help over that loss earlier in the week, right? All right, taking a look locally, there was also some local high school basketball this weekend. It was great. Peoria area high school basketball packed the weekend with some showcase action. At Richwoods, the inaugural Peoria Showtime Classic delivered a thriller as Richwoods beat Chicago Kenwood 59-58. That was a final last-second defensive stand from Caden Johnson, so that was a pretty exciting game. Tony Bradford added some strong inside scoring as the Knights improved to a 14-2 record heading into that key January stretch. The event also featured East Peoria versus Chicago Morgan Park earlier in the day. Peoria High continues its strong January stretch after a 75-43 win over Danville. And January, you're going to have 15 area teams across shootouts at Richwoods, ICC, Galesburg, Sterling, and more. So January and into February around here is going to be some exciting basketball. And kind of wrapping things up, too, as we know, and probably could have led with this, too, our college playoff. What a different year this year, right? Taking a look, we were at 4, Indiana, Oregon, Miami, and Ole Miss. As we know, Indiana and Miami will now advance to the national championship January 19th. So I'll tell you what an interesting weekend, what an interesting week.
What's your prediction on that Indiana,
I'll tell you what.
Miami game?
I got to go with Indiana. Wouldn't it be great just to have
we
something
hope
local flavor? So they're tough this year. They really are.
They proved that.
I think they've proven there. So I'm not a betting man. There is no money. Well, unless there's breakfast here, Roger.
Yeah,
then I'm going to go with Indiana. So we can put some pancakes down in this deal, right?
I got drilled. I lost the what was it? The Indiana game with Ole Miss. Was that who they? No, was
Indiana,
it Oregon? Yeah.
Yep.
I blew that one, and so I owe Tyrus breakfast, and then I blew the Bear game, and
Yep.
he bet on the Bears. I
was
bet
with
on Green
both
Bay.
those two, Sue.
So I owe him lunch. Thank God I didn't ask about
Yeah,
dinner.
I was going to say. Well, maybe we'll have something.
But
on
you know,
side
the
table.
upside to that is I'm happy about it. Even though I lost, I'm happy Indiana won. I'm happy that the Bears won.
Yeah.
So
it's,
I got to shell out some money, but
it's good for the Midwest, right?
yes.
Yes.
And that's sports.
That is sports for this hour.
All right, and so we continue with Breakfast with Roger and Friends. It is the 12th day of January. Boy, you know, we're almost halfway through. Hey, you know what? I want to mention Chris Buckley. He's the guy that, he's the technical guy who put us on YouTube. Very talented. But he worked for a theater for a number of years, and in the process collected, he says, over 1,000 of these large movie posters, and he's decided to put them up for sale. He's going to join us. But if you look back and you decide, you know what, I'd like to put a poster up in my office, a movie poster, or maybe in the kids' bedroom, or, of course, I don't have any kids in my household anymore. But what movie poster would you most like to have? Terry or Dave?
You know, I have one already, a Ferris Bueller poster. It's from our
Of
recreation
what?
room. A movie poster of Ferris Bueller's Day Off, and it's kind of in our rec room downstairs, so it fits. But what else? Oh my goodness, there are so many movies. Maybe something in a James Bond sort of thing.
I might do The Sting.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yes, I tried
Yeah.
The
several
what?
friends.
What movie?
The Sting with
The
Robert.
Sting. Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That
Redford
would be
and
a
Paul
good one,
Newman.
Yeah.
I'd like to see a list and say, oh, it's kind of like a menu, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
you would.
that one,
Well,
that one, that one,
he's
that
good. He's going to join us, I think, later this morning, and he's got a list.
That's what I
He
wanna
said
see.
one of the big ones that's very popular are the posters for Star Wars
I was just
I
going to
remember.
guess. Yeah,
movies.
yeah.
That's, and I guess, you know, he hasn't indicated what kind of a price he's talking about, but it will be. He said I'll be very reasonable, but the price will depend on the popularity of the movie. And yet, how do you determine that? Because, you know, you say The Sting, and you said what?
Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would want something from a John Wayne movie.
Oh, there you go.
And it
Clint
would-
Eastwood
yeah,
movies,
or
Fistful of
Clint
Dollars,
Eastwood,
yeah.
Make My Day
Yeah.
type of poster. And usually they're pretty good size too.
Yeah.
What size you talking about?
I don't know if we can look around the room here. Maybe something like here, right here.
Like that one?
Yeah, that's about the right size.
Except it would probably be vertically.
Yeah.
Rather, or is it in
actually,
that?
that's horizontal
Really, you like
yeah,
that?
Yeah, my Ferris
Okay.
Bueller one is.
Do you have any idea that you care to share where you got it and what it cost?
That's I honestly, I've had it for so long, I don't remember.
What year was that
I'm pretty sure
movie?
I didn't take it unauthorized, so
Yeah,
I'm
so
sure
you're
it
pretty
gave
sure.
me very legal.
Well, the statute of limitations
well,
has
that's
expired,
true.
so you should be.
Yeah.
You should be okay.
Yeah.
I would think a poster like one that goes way back in time, like Gone with the Wind,
Yeah.
would be a historic and worth something.
Like
more
Dr.
than, yeah.
Zhivago. Wouldn't that be a good one to
Yeah,
have?
that'd be a good
yeah,
one.
but I'm sure that's pretty. I don't even know if they had a movie poster for that. Maybe they did.
How about
Sure, it's downtown, and
yeah,
I'm sure
yeah,
the Madison of the
true.
Palace had the big.
And that brings up something to think of all the movie houses we had in this town. True movie houses, not movie complexes.
yeah, you're right about that. Yeah, we just have to think about the Madison, the Palace, the Rialto, the Apollo.
Yeah.
That was, I think, the last one to close with any kind of entertainment venue.
The Beverly.
And the Princess,
Yeah.
and Beverly, and the Varsity.
I remember reading, so I saw, somebody said the other day, did you ever see a movie at the Madison? I did. I remember back in the 70s, the movie Midway. Is that
Oh,
Charlton
yeah,
Heston?
yeah.
And remember in the 70s, they had that sense around in the seats where they'd rumble, and that
Yep.
scene where the planes were taking off the aircraft carrier rumbling. And it was,
Really?
Yeah. yeah.
I don't remember. At the
Yeah.
Madison?
Sensor, yep. Madison Theater. They had, a couple of different movies. I think they were showing movies up till maybe the mid 70s, late 70s. I don't know, somewhere. in there.
Yeah, and you know, over the years, there's been somebody come along and say, we're going to renovate it and bring back the
Yeah.
old Madison Theater.
Yeah.
And the last time I was in it, it was a dump. And
Yeah.
it's probably even worse now because, you know, you take an empty building due to mildew and just natural deterioration. A good example, I drove yesterday through, happened to be in the north end of Peoria, and decided to go look at the old household. But I also wanted to see my grade school, Kingman Grade School, which has been closed for umpteen years, and the Madison Avenue Methodist Church where I attended, where my dad was superintendent of schools for superintendent of Sunday school, was is no longer a Methodist church. Well, that's okay, but the church is still there. And I thought, boy, would I love to go in, because growing up as a boy, our Boy Scout troop, as you know, many scout troops were based in neighborhood churches. And I thought, oh, I'd love to go inside and walk around. So I drove around, went through my neighborhood, and I'll tell you, just it's not what it was, and I'll leave it at that. And it kind of caused a little heartache. Both of you are far younger than I am. Have you gone back to where you were raised and looked and wondered? My brother, who, by the way, we need your prayers for him because he's critically ill at Proctor Hospital. He and his daughters took him up to the old household in the 2900 block, actually 2917 North Madison, and showed me a picture of him standing in front of the house and the lawn that he never cut, but I did.
I see.
In the summertime, for that matter. But it is kind of with mixed feelings when you go back to see your old house in the old neighborhood. Like I say, both of you are younger, and I'm sure your neighborhoods are still in relatively good shape compared to when I was raised in the 1930s.
I drive through the East Bluff. My grandparents lived next door to each other, and we actually lived there for a short time before we moved out here. But back in the 60s, East Bluff, I can still remember being on Grandma and Grandpa's lawn on Fry Avenue.
Fry
near St.
Avenue,
Bernard's,
yeah.
And you could hear the Julia Bell Swain Calliope coming up.
Could
the
you
block.
really?
Yep.
Yeah.
And the ice cream truck, and we'd walk from their house right across to St. Bernard's, and my family,
And they've closed that church,
they closed
haven't
down
they?
also too. My dad still, would go there, and yeah, it was East Bluff was really a neat place.
Yeah, all over Peoria for that matter. The neighborhoods were safe. They were wonderful. My brother living on the north end married a girl who lived, Barb Kunkel, who lived on the south side of Peoria on Mydrith. As a matter of fact, her parents had a little a hot dog popcorn. I don't know whether they sold hot dogs or not, but popcorn. They had a little stand. I believe it was on Mydrith back then. How times have changed over the years. Well, we know one thing that we're doing this morning, and that is bringing you the news, and we're going to talk to former Mayor Jim Ardis coming up shortly. But first, let's bring you up to date with some of the stories we're following in our newsroom. Losing a pet affects everybody, not only family, but neighbors as well. And the caring people at Peoria Pet Crematory know that. That's why they're available 24/7 to help you through the grieving process, offering several choices for care and remembrance. Peoria Pet Crematory. Here's our phone number, 309-713-1898. With the news, here's Terry.
The funeral services will be held at 10:30 this morning for Peoria hockey legend Mark Olson. Visitation will be 1 hour before services at St. Thomas Catholic Church in Peoria Heights. The 98-year-old Olson died Saturday, January 3rd. It is with sadness that we report the death of well-known Peoria businessman George Jacob. The 61-year-old owner and president of Brewers Distributing Company for Anheuser-Busch, Jacob was appointed to the city council in 2005 to replace Jim Ardis, who was elected mayor. Jacob suffered major injuries in a motorcycle accident on a motocross track in Hollis Township in 2010 that left him paralyzed. Despite his condition, he continued his contributions to numerous charitable causes and agencies. We'll be talking with former Mayor Ardis shortly after the 6:30 news. Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell is under investigation by the Justice Department. Powell and other members of the Federal Reserve have received grand jury subpoenas related to testimony Powell gave at a recent Senate hearing regarding renovation costs of the Federal Reserve Building in Washington, D.C. Many financial experts are awaiting a decision from the Supreme Court about President Trump's use of tariffs. A lot of money is at stake if the Supreme Court rules President Trump does not have the authority to impose tariffs. Some retail companies like Costco, Revlon, and Kawasaki Motors have filed lawsuits demanding refunds of tariff money they had to pay for foreign products they purchased. They're still protesting at opposite ends of the world. Protests in Minneapolis continue after the shooting death of a woman who hit an ICE agent with her vehicle, while thousands in Iran are calling for the end of government rule because of the country's poor economy and corruption in high places. At least 500 people have been killed by Iranian police and troops. More than 10,000 people have been arrested. Authorities in West Point, Mississippi have arrested a 24-year-old man for murdering 6 people, 4 in his own family. The 2 others were a church pastor and the pastor's brother. Behind bars is Derica Moore. No reason for the shooting has been determined as of this morning. In local news, Peoria Mayor Rita Ali has issued an email announcing the decision to cancel a couple of Martin Luther King Jr. events. The mayor said there would be no Freedom March or Commemorative Service Leadership Awards ceremony, but gave no reason. However, the annual Martin Luther King Jr. Luncheon is Monday, January 9th. It is still on. The Peoria Civic Center event this year features the controversial Sonny Hoskin, co-host of the ABC program The View. And those are the headlines.
All right, how about a check of the weather brought to you this morning by your hometown community banks division, Morton Community Bank. 46 locations in central Illinois to serve you. Look for the clock tower, and you'll know they have time for you. Member FDIC. Now the weather.
Well, happy Monday, everybody. As you wake up, it's chilly this morning, but cheer up. It's going to get better. It's going to be mostly sunny this morning. A little breezy, though. Today is going to be a high of 45 degrees, and that is not bad for mid-January Monday, isn't it? Tonight going to be cloudy, down to 34 degrees. Tomorrow it's going to cloud up. It'll be sunny early, clouding up and getting windy. A little warmer, though. High of 52. If you ever wanted to wash your car, today or tomorrow seems to be the day. Tomorrow night, cloudy and 33, and then as we look at Wednesday morning, it's going to be cloudy with a 30% chance of some afternoon snow showers. That temperature will be dropping throughout the day on Wednesday. High of 38, but then getting chilly Wednesday evening. Thursday will rebound to a sunny 28, chilly day. Friday, chance for an afternoon snow of high of 37 as we slide into some January weather this coming weekend. However, on this Monday, we're currently sitting at 27 degrees.
We just can't get rid of the cold weather, can we?
We cannot.
I'm trying to throw another log on the fire for that matter.
Hey, you know what? It is getting brighter and brighter in the evening.
Right. All right, I'll take your word for it. In the meantime, we want to tell everybody we are reporting the sad news of the death of well-known Peoria businessman George Jacob, and one of his close friends is the former mayor of the city of Peoria, Jim Artison. He's on the line this morning. Good morning, Jim.
Good morning.
Tell us about your friendship with George over the many, many years.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I know that the community is really sad about this, Roger, and I just really want to extend a lot of thoughts and prayers out to Janine and their family. It's been a long time, and it's been really tough on the whole family going through all this. But George is just one of those one-of-a-kind folks, and I met him through my earlier days in the bar and restaurant business, and George's family owned Brewers Distributing and still does, and I met him way back then, and we were friends on a business standpoint. And then as we both got older and got more into our professional careers, we ended up working together on the city council. And George was just probably one of the hardest working councilmen that I ever served with. Just an unbelievable guy to balance his young family at the time. And all the polls from the neighborhoods for city council members, and running a very successful beer distributorship at the same time.
Yeah, he actually took your place when you were elected mayor, and I'm thinking 2005. Are we remembering right on that?
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Good memory.
Yeah. And that's without Prevagen, by the way. You know, on a personal note, I think the first time I met you, although I knew your father fairly well because he was a former member of the city council, if my memory serves me right,
Yeah.
and he lived on just off of not Lake Street, Glen, and I would take that shortcut between Glen and Prospect Road if I was going down to Galena, and it was not unusual to see your dad in the front yard. And what year did he serve on the council?
Dad served one term from 1969 to 1973. Michael Bryan was the mayor at the time.
Yeah, and a number of years ago when you said you met him in your business on Willow Nose Road, I think that was the first time I really got acquainted with you. You were in a heck of a place. Why'd you? I don't want to take away from the death of George, but it does bring back some pleasant memories. What was the name of your joint?
Well, that was O'Leary's.
There
I bought it from Mary Art Apple, who had
Yes.
a bakery.
Yeah.
And you and Roger used to come in and get free lunches about every couple weeks or so. You were, I shouldn't say.
No.
You and
I
Roger.
would, Jim. Well, I didn't get the free lunch. Royce got the free lunch.
But he never got to eat it because he was always sitting going table to table,
Yeah.
practicing his new stuff.
Yeah, I suggest you when he was there, you ought to have a cover charge for
Right.
for entertainment, and that's when about the time that you got acquainted with George.
Well, yeah, I had known him previous to that, but we did more business out there, and yeah, it was a long time, quite a while actually, before I actually got involved with city government.
And you know, as we were mentioning in our news accounts of the passing of George, he did a lot of wonderful things for the community, not for any self-grandizement. He just loved the community, and he continued to make donations and contributions to causes and charities, didn't he?
Well, you know, George had a huge heart, and he did more stuff for different, not just the big not-for-profits, but just for folks out in the neighborhoods and in the community that needed help, and very, very quietly with no show, and he just had a huge heart. He was just an unbelievable person. And then of course he was involved in a lot of the bigger non-for-profits and got very involved in helping them raise funds and stuff. And the Jacobs family is still like that. Brewers is one of our outstanding longtime businesses, and they're just really strong in the community. And George got it from his parents, and his family is still running the business, and they got it too.
Well, I know the funeral details have not yet been announced, but our prayers are with, as you indicated, his wife Janine and their family on this the day. He will be well remembered, and we are a better community because of his service and his contributions.
Well, I don't think I could add anything to that, Roger, so I won't.
Okay.
But I'll just also mention that you had said something about your brother, and just know that the community's got him and your family in our prayers as well.
That's very kind of you, Jim. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. We'll talk to you again. Thanks, Jim.
Okay.
You bet.
Take care.
Coming up, more thoughts about the passing of well-known Peoria businessman George Jacob with former Congressman Ray LaHood. But first, this message.
How can you measure the value of education-based athletics? Well, the value is in what makes it invaluable. That's because school sports aren't just about winning, they're about learning and growing. School sports aren't just about gaining trophies and accolades, they're about learning life lessons, bringing a whole community together, developing character and integrity, having coaches who mentor you, and teammates who become lifelong friends. And you can't put a price on any of that. That's what makes education-based athletics invaluable. Of course, when you participate in school sports, you want to win and become a better athlete, But the purpose is so much greater, becoming a better person. Support your local school sports programs. And if you have a student, encourage them to get involved.
This message presented by the NFHS and the National Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
Mostly sunny and windy today with a high of 45 and right now our temperature 25 degrees. This morning we're paying tribute and remembrance of Peoria businessman George Jacob, who passed away over the weekend, and we just heard from former Mayor Jim Ardis, and I know former Congressman Ray LaHood, who's on the line, was a good friend of George and his family. Good morning, Ray.
Good morning, Roger and friends.
Tell us about your friendship with George Jacob.
Well, it goes way, way back to the time when George was on the city council and I was serving in Congress. He was very, very helpful to me and recognized as one of the most significant small business men in Central Illinois as the owner of Brewers Distributing, the Budweiser dealership. But George was not only a very, very outstanding small business leader, he was a political leader and community leader in so many ways as a member of the Peoria City Council, which I'm sure Mayor Ardis talked about, and also as a member of the business community, contributing an enormous amount to so many different charities and organizations. On a personal note, George had a beautiful family, married to former Janine Corey. Janine and George had been married for many, many years, and she took great care to make sure that he had the best medical care possible in Central Illinois, and just took very good care of him. And during that time that he was sick, Janine raised her children and did a terrific job. They have a beautiful family, and so this is a big loss for the Jacob family, for the community, for friends of George, and just want to pay tribute to what he did to help so many the employees of the company, his involvement in the community, his involvement in politics. He was somebody who gave it his all.
And we will remember him and provide the details when the family releases information in the obituary. Turning to government and political events and affairs and so forth, I actually don't know where to begin this morning, Ray. I know one of the top stories we're following is waiting a decision from the Supreme Court as whether or not a president, whether it's Donald Trump or a future president, has the ability to levy tariffs, and that is will have worldwide implications and ramifications. What are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, traditionally, Roger, the Congress has been involved in placing tariffs on different products, and with the cooperation of the administration over a long period of time, tariffs have been put on different countries and different products. So it's been a very collaborative effort over a long period of time in our country. And for the first time, these tariffs have been leveled by the president and by his economic team. And so we'll see what the Supreme Court does. I'm not a lawyer, but I know that if passed as prologue, I would think that the way this has been handled in the past has been legal. But but we're going to find out.
You bet. What's going on in Iran, and how much involvement should this country, this president, get involved? I know it seems like he has a lot of balls in the air, and sometimes I think there are too many of them, but what's going on in Iran, and what do you think we should be doing?
Well, there's obviously a big difference between bombing their nuclear sites and actually going into the country and trying to bring about regime change. That would be a very dramatic development. I think that certainly Israel would like that, but to have the kind of regime change that in Iran that took place in Venezuela, I don't know how prudent that really is. I know that the people in the country are protesting. Some have been killed and some have been injured as a result of the protests. But I do think that the way that President Trump handled Iran previously by taking out their nuclear capability was significant, and I think it helped bring about the release of the hostages, in Hamas releasing the hostages. I think it brought about the downfall of Hamas in the Palestinian territory. So I think there was an awful lot of good that happened as a result of that. But to think that we would go into the country and try and bring about regime change, I think is very, very risky.
I couldn't agree with you more. I know you stay close to what's going on in the Middle East, and particularly with Lebanon. It seems like things are more stabilized now than they have been in years. You pay close attention to what's going on in Lebanon. Give us kind of an update, if you would.
Well, look, here again, I give President Trump an awful lot of credit. He has supported the new leadership in Lebanon. They have a new president. They have a new prime minister. They have new military leaders. We're supporting them very heavily because they have dealt with Hezbollah in the south of the country. And again, I think what President Trump did in Iran, knocking out their nuclear capability, had a tremendous impact because Iran has been fomenting the idea of supporting not only Hamas in Israel and that part of the world, but Hezbollah in the southern part of Lebanon. So President Trump has really stepped up in the Middle East and made a difference. Syria is now stabilized with a leader that the Trump administration is supporting. And so I do think that a lot of progress has been made in Lebanon, and a lot of stability has been brought about in Lebanon, in Syria, and President Trump has been one of the strong leaders in that movement.
What are your thoughts about seizing the Venezuelan oil and the ramifications of that decision?
I think what President Trump and his administration did in bringing the leaders or the leader of Venezuela to justice is justified because of the drugs that have been sent into this country, because of the fact that there's so much lawlessness in the country, because of the fact that we had indictments against the leadership there. The part about the oil is not clear to me, Roger, and I think that we'll have to see how that plays out. And what I mean by that is we need the oil companies in this country to be willing to go into Venezuela and fix up the oil fields and repair the oil fields so that drilling can commence again in a way that the largest supply of oil underground is in Venezuela, and that can be utilized for the world and for the benefit of the people. I think one of the things we need to keep in mind is the people in Venezuela are the ones that have been hurting, and if this will be helpful to them in terms of providing jobs, and the oil companies are going to hire people to help them, I think a lot of this oil issue will depend on whether American oil companies want to go in there and really drill for the oil and repair the oil fields.
Ray, I think one of the factors involved in President Trump's decision about Venezuela, I think he's also worried about the growing influence of China and Russia in this part of the world. And when we start seeing stories about Russian submarines that are operating not too far away from the United States, that's a growing concern. And Colombia is another country in Latin America that's been cozying up to the Russians and the Chinese.
Yeah, look, Roger, I agree with that, except I wish Trump would spend that much time thinking about Russians' involvement in Ukraine.
Amen.
And I worry about that.
Yes.
And he's given Putin a lot of slack in Ukraine, and I don't agree with that. Russia went into Ukraine. They took over the country. They bombed the hell out of the country and taken over part of it. And so. I understand he may be concerned about Russia and Venezuela. I'm concerned about Russia and Ukraine. And I'm concerned, with all of the work the president has done all over the world in bringing about peace, he hasn't paid more attention to Russia and what they're doing in Ukraine. We need to do better there.
Yeah, amen. Exactly right. I wish he would release some F-18 and let Ukrainians start flying in the skies, and I think that'd make a world of difference, and
Right.
I wish he would do that. Any other thoughts before we leave you?
Thank you for honoring George Jacob this morning, Roger. He was a great community leader and fell upon a very bad situation that really, I think for his family, this is a nice morning of tribute, so thank you for doing that.
And thank you, Ray, for visiting with us so much. Send a little sunshine from Florida our way, would you please? All right. Thanks, Ray. God bless you. Have a great day.
Yeah, thank you.
Former Congressman Ray Lewis. And speaking of sunshine, we're going to have some sunshine today, whether Ray sends it or not. It'll be on the windy side with a high of 45. Right now, our temperature at 25 degrees. Here's our pet tip of the day.
Today's pet tip is brought to you by Peoria Pet Crematory of Peoria and Lewiston, providing final care for family pets, large and small, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Their phone number is 713-1898. That's 713-1898. More information is available at peoriapetcrematory.com.
Pet lovers are dedicated to their animals, all species from horses to turtles and of course cats and dogs. If you are a pet lover, learn these little-known, somewhat amazing facts about your pet. Walking with our dogs is important for many reasons, but here is one you may not have thought about. When we walk our dogs, they are always sniffing everything along the way. I call this reading the doggy newspaper, and here is why. Animals mark their territory either by rubbing against an object or by spraying urine to identify it as theirs. Another animal comes along and can smell a single drop of urine and is able to tell a great deal about the animal who left the mark. They can distinguish one animal from another of the same breed. They can tell whether the animal is dominant or submissive. They can recognize and identify the other animal. They can tell what the animal has been eating, know whether the other is a friend or a foe. They can tell male from female, and they can even tell the animal's emotional state. So don't rush your dog and tell him to stop sniffing. Take a little time and let them sniff. He's reading the paper, just like you will do when you finish this walk. Just relax and enjoy this time with your pet. And now that you know what he's finding out about the world around him, discuss it with him. He loves to hear your voice and interact with you, especially a good wet lick on the face after he's done all that sniffing. This whisker of information has been made possible by a grant from the Corporation for Public Broadcasting in partnership with Spot, Saving Pets One at a Time, and KSBR Studios. Produced by Joseph C. McGuire and theme music by Stuardo Glasser.
Today's Pet Tip has been brought to you by Peoria Pet Crematory of Peoria and Lewiston, providing final care for family pets, large and small, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Their phone number is 713-1898. That's 713-1898. More information is available at PeoriaPetCrematory.com.
Oh, I love those pet tips. I don't always agree with the young lady who has a pet tip. Like she said, if your dog makes a mess in your house, that you go over and go, "Arr." I did that, and my dog looked at me and dropped another load. No, I made that part up. I've tried that, and it did not work at all. I think dogs are like people. Every dog has its own personality and persona, and I don't care what the breed is, whether it's a Scottie, which is, somebody asked me over the weekend, you've had a lot of Scotties. Why? And I said, just because they're a cute dog. They're very independent. I don't know. And cats, you're a cat lover. Terry, are they independent?
They can be, but they also have an affectionate side. And when they want attention, boy, they're in your
They get
lap.
their attention.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. They can. Yeah.
Cats are also, of course, dogs. Some breeds of dogs are the same way. It takes a while to get acquainted. Like if a stranger, well, I wouldn't say you entertain strangers, but if someone comes into your house that's a friend that hasn't been there before, do your cats hang around them or do they go
These
hide?
cats do not.
Yeah.
No, they run high because they've not been socialized because I haven't had anybody over. Now, I had 2 previous cats when I lived someplace else, and they were very social. Oh, they'd come out.
They would.
Oh, yeah. The one would actually leave my lap. Like if Scott came over later in the evening to watch a movie, she'd leave my lap and go and crawl in his. And it's like, well, gee.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I had 2 cats that were very social too. They were similar look, and they'd read, and they'd come over and look at you, and just kind of hang out. And everybody, we were official greeters, like having 2 butlers. My cats, they would greet anybody at the door. So, but we have a dog that does the same thing now. So,
What kind of dog do you have?
we have a boxer, Charlie
Boxer,
May.
really?
She is the sweetest dog.
That's a
we've
big
ever
dog, though, is it
had.
not?
Boxers are, they can be, but not too big.
Are they easy to get acquainted, or does it
She
take?
is the friendliest dog. She'll bark.
They are,
and
okay.
greet everybody, and then she'll be, just right up next to you.
Mhm.
Just a sweet dog.
Oh, I love dogs. I love the only pet that some people have that I never have would be a snake. I don't want to get acquainted with snakes, and they don't want to get acquainted with me, and that's okay. Dale Carnegie or no Dale Carnegie, I stay away from How to Win Friends and Influence Snakes. Not exactly one of the books I would read. But we will read the news to you. News, weather, sports coming up. You're having breakfast with Roger and Friends on WAGU FM 90.7 in Peoria, Illinois, and on YouTube. Good morning, everyone. Currently 25 degrees. Good morning, everybody. It is a beautiful Monday morning, January 12th, and we welcome you to Breakfast with Roger and Friends. If you're just joining us, and let's take a check of the weather. The weather this morning brought to you by our good friend Steve Sink. He's the managing partner. He's with PHX Affiliates, and he's been a business broker now for over 20 years. He knows business, and if you're interested in buying one or selling one, or maybe a number of them, contact Steve Sink, and you can reach him today at 309-696-8508. Dave has the weather.
I do indeed. Happy Monday, January 12th, everybody, as we're cruising right through this month of January. It's going to be mostly sunny and windy, which is very similar to the people in the studio today. We're looking really, really good. A high of 45 degrees today, as it's a nice warm day for January, right? Tonight, cloudy and 34 degrees. Tomorrow, cloudy and windy. It clouds up a little bit, but it does get warmer, so there's your good news. High of 52. And then tomorrow night, Tuesday night, getting down to 33. Wednesday, the change kind of comes and looks a little more like January. We'll start the day windy, cloudy with a 30% chance for afternoon snow showers as that temperature takes a dive throughout Wednesday. 38 degrees for a high. Thursday, sunny and 28. And Friday, chance for an afternoon snow as we slide into a very chilly next weekend. Currently, we're holding right now at a relatively balmy for January, 27 degrees.
27 degrees, and now we get into the news brought to you by Sam Lilly and Associate. Sam is an insurance broker. He has more than 40 years of experience specializing in healthcare, Medicare, and you can get all the information from Sam Lilly today. For a personalized visit, the number is 309-245-4374. That's 245-4374. Sam Lilly and Associates.
Well, funeral services will be held at 10:30 this morning for Peoria hockey legend Mark Olson. Visitation will be 1 hour before services at St. Thomas Catholic Church in Peoria Heights. The 98-year-old Olson died Saturday, January 3rd.
And it's with sadness we report the death of well-known Peoria businessman George Jacob, owner and president of Brewers Distributing Company for Anheuser-Busch. Jacob was appointed to the city council in 2005 to replace Jim Artis, who was elected mayor. The 61-year-old Jacob suffered major injuries in a motorcycle accident on a motocross track in Hollis Township that happened in 2010. That accident left him paralyzed. Despite his condition, he continued contributing to numerous charitable causes and agencies. And as you heard in the past half hour, wonderful tribute from former Mayor Jim Artis and former Congressman Ray LaHood.
A deadly plane crash in Colombia claimed 6 lives, including popular singer Jason Jimenez. The 34-year-old and 5 others of his staff died when their plane crashed moments after takeoff. They were to perform in Medellin.
And interesting, the plane in which they were in was owned by his company. And that's such a tragic accident. That's a terrible story to report. Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell under investigation by the Justice Department. Powell and other members of the Federal Reserve Board have received grand jury subpoenas related to their testimony Powell gave at a recent Senate hearing. They were talking about renovation costs of the Federal Reserve Building in Washington, D.C.
Many financial experts are awaiting a decision from the Supreme Court about President Trump's use of tariffs. A lot of money is at stake if the Supreme Court rules President Trump does not have the authority to impose tariffs. Some retail companies like Costco, Revlon, and Kawasaki Motors have filed lawsuits demanding refunds of tariff money they had to pay to the U.S. government for foreign products they purchased.
If the Supreme Court rules against the White House or any president now or in the future, it could trigger, in this case, at least $150 billion in refunds and a negative impact on the stock market. Political analysts say it could cost the United States a major negotiating tool.
They're still protesting at opposite ends of the world. Protests in Minneapolis continue after the shooting death of a woman who hit an ICE agent with her vehicle, while thousands in Iran are calling for the end of government rule because of the country's poor economy and corruption in high places. At least 500 people have been killed by Iranian police and troops. More than 10,000 people have been arrested.
President Trump has warned Iranian leaders to stop killing protesters. Supreme Leader Ayatollah Khamenei said his military would attack the United States and Israeli bases in the Middle East in retaliation if there is any foreign interference.
Authorities in West Point, Mississippi have arrested a 24-year-old man for murdering 6 people, 4 in his own family. The 2 others were a church pastor and the pastor's brother. Behind bars is Derica Moore. No reason for the shootings has been determined as of this morning.
In local news, Peoria Mayor Rita Ali has issued an email announcing the decision to cancel, or as she called it, pause a couple of Martin Luther King events. The mayor said there would be no Freedom March or commemorative service, a leadership award ceremony, but she gave no reason. However, the annual Martin Luther King luncheon, scheduled for Monday, January 19th, still on. The Peoria Civic Center event this year features the controversial Sonny Hoskin, co-host on the ABC program The View. Now we get more news from WCBU this morning.
From the WCBU Newsroom, I'm John Norton. The Peoria City Council will vote on a new 3-year collective bargaining agreement with city firefighters at this week's meeting. The city and firefighters Local 50 began negotiating on the new contract last fall. The new deal has a 5% wage increase this year, followed by 4% and 3% raises in the following years. The union members voted to ratify the agreement last Tuesday. The ICE agent who shot and killed a woman in Minnesota last week is a 2001 graduate of Peoria Richwoods High School. 43-year-old Jonathan Ross shot and killed Renee Good, a 37-year-old mother, as she tried to drive away from ICE officers. WCBU confirmed Ross's identity through an examination of school and court records. Trump administration officials have defended Ross's actions without naming him. A Republican candidate running for a second time to unseat Governor J.B. Pritzker is proposing an Illinois version of DOGE. Darren Bailey is a former legislator and downstate farmer. He says Illinois has a government waste and fraud problem. The conservative is suggesting an Elon Musk-style deep dive into spending, minus the mass firing of workers, and then publicly reporting the findings. That's even though Illinois already has a state auditor general who does that kind of oversight.
It's time for a fresh start and a fresh new look so that the people of Illinois can, and I believe will, have confidence in leadership in Illinois.
Bailey lost to Pritzker in 2022 by double digits. And a new law in Illinois requires schools to come up with a process for when a student's citizenship status is called into question. Democratic State Senator Karina Villa of Chicago sponsored the Safe Schools for All Act. She says if immigration enforcement comes to a school, you might have
someone at the front office who's frazzled. When they see someone in uniform, they call the student down, or they start going through the files without knowing that maybe what they're doing is harmful for the student.
The bill prohibits a child from being denied a free public education based on perceived or actual citizenship status. I'm John Norton, WCBU News.
All right, let's get into the world of sports. Right, there's nothing liberal slanted about sports, and we welcome Dave Jones. Good morning. You talk about bias. At any rate, what do you have?
Well,
you got all kinds of things this morning.
What a busy January weekend. It was chilly out, but it sure did heat up. Roger, where do we start? How about we start with...
How about page one?
How about page one is a good
You remember Paul Harvey? Didn't Paul Harvey say page one?
And he'd absolutely. So, and that is all the news that's fit to print. Well, I'm sure on everybody's mind, and depending on which side of the orange and blue or the green and white you are, as you know, the Chicago Bears had quite the comeback. They rallied from a 21-3 halftime deficit to stun, and I think that would be a good word to say it, stun the Green Bay Packers 31-27 at Soldier Field. Caleb Williams threw for 381 yards and 2 touchdowns, including that game-winning to DJ Moore. Now let's take a look around the NFL. The Rams edged the Panthers 34-31. The 49ers, and I would say this is definitely an upset, the Eagles, 23-19 in Philadelphia. And the Bills held off Jacksonville 27-24. Capping off our evening last night, the Sunday night game, Patriots 16-3 over the Chargers, in kind of a game that might put you to sleep, but anyway. Tonight we'll finish it up with the, yes, very good. Roger's still waking up for that one. Tonight we'll cap off the games of the Texans versus the Steelers. Now, boys and girls, get your dance card out because we're down to the 8 teams going to the NFL divisional round next weekend. The Bears, of course, the Rams, the 49ers, the Bills, the Patriots, and then, of course, to be determined tonight, Texans or Steelers. You decide. All right, let's move on to the NBA. Kind of a busy weekend. Knicks, of course, 123-114 over the Trailblazers. Raptors over the 76ers, 116-115, very tight game. Timberwolves over the Spurs, 104-103. And the Thunder over the Heat, 124-112. All those are high-scoring games. Now, what a good weekend for Big Ten basketball. I'll tell you what, it looks good here in the Midwest. Illinois went on the road and they beat Iowa 75-69 behind 19 from Keaton Wagler. Our local Cooper Koch, one of our local residents, did a great job for Iowa, but still it wasn't enough as Illinois was victorious. Nebraska staying perfect at 16-0, erasing that 16-point deficit to beat Indiana behind 32 points from Lamar Wilkinson. What a great deal. Now, you know, as Nebraska is going to take that number 4 ranking in the top 25, and here's a good one, too. Wisconsin knocking off Michigan 91-88. Now, the thing that they remember, they were 18 points behind, and they still went off. And, of course, Michigan was number 2. Not so much today, I don't think, because Arizona is going to take that number 1 spot in the top 25. Nebraska, as we mentioned earlier, will be the number 4 ranking in the top 25. That's as of late last night. Now let's move on to Missouri Valley. Bradley outlasted Northern Iowa 75-69 at Carver Arena. They're going to be 12-6 now in the season. Jaquan Johnson leading with 17 points. Amat Jonovic adding key second-half scoring. Earlier in the week, of course, that sure makes up for that Bradley loss in the week, as we're looking really good heading into a busy January. Let's take a look at Peoria area basketball because, as you know, basketball is king here in the River City. Peoria area high school boys basketball packed the weekend with some showcase action. At Richwoods High School, the inaugural Peoria Showtime Classic was a thriller as Richwoods beat Chicago Kenwood 59-58. Talk about a close game. A final second defensive stand from Caden Johnson. Tony Bradford also added some strong insight as the Knights are now 14-2. And my person sitting next to me, Mr. Meisinger and myself, we were very happy about Richwoods doing well this year.
Always happy about it.
Yes, we are.
Even if I don't have a microphone on,
Well,
I'm still happy
Still,
about
this would be the acoustic version of Mr. Meisinger today. The event also featured East Peoria versus Chicago Morgan Park earlier in the day. Peoria High also locally is continuing a really strong January stretch after that 75-43 win over Danville. And looking again, 15 area teams are going to be across shootouts this month, so it's a very exciting time. And let's finally conclude with our college. I'll tell you what, we were just talking about this earlier. I mean, what a great setup here for our national championship. As you know, Indiana 56 over Oregon. Roger is going to be furnishing lunch for one of our other sportscasters because of that. Lunch and dinner. He did not have a great week, but who would have thought? I probably would have been on that too. Miami 31 over Ole Miss 27, so that sets us up for the January 19th national championship. And you can play the parlor game on this one, whether it's Indiana or Miami. I'm going to go on record. I'm thinking Indiana, but there you go. And that's it for sports on this balmy Monday morning.
Yeah. And you know, it is a surprise, ladies and gentlemen. John Meiser has entered the studio.
You know, I tell you what, those girls, they don't stop. They don't stop. I think they wanted money, and I didn't have any to give them. I just felt bad.
You came home broke.
I came home, definitely came home broke.
Yeah, girls or no girls.
They made me fly on the tail of the plane. That's what it was. But yeah.
Well, thank you for coming in. I appreciate it. We have Dr. Gene Sidler on the line to talk about the Indiana football game. He was there.
Ooh.
Exclusive report. No other radio station in America has sent one of their. Actually, I didn't send him.
Did you send him?
He just went.
Nice.
With or without
Wait a minute, we have a
HR.
Budget.
Yeah. Good morning, Gene.
Yeah, good morning. Should I bring my receipts in for you right now?
Yeah, please, I'll turn it over to accounting. At any rate, that was exciting. Your son graduated from Indiana, and you paid, what, $1,200 a ticket to get in to see the big game, and boy, did they dominate the Ducks.
Well, no, but the tickets to this game weren't quite that expensive. I actually bought them before Indiana won the previous game, and if you recall, that was a game they were well ahead of from the beginning, and so, yeah, it looked like they were going to win. So I went ahead and bought the tickets before they skyrocketed, and now I noticed that the championship game down in Miami a week from tonight, the cheapest ticket in the stadium is about $4,000. Per ticket.
Wow.
Are you kidding?
Yeah,
A lot of wealthy people going.
Yeah.
Well, Indiana has reportedly got the largest alumni base in the country, and they're rabid sports fans, mostly basketball, but now football, and so they're really into this since it doesn't happen very often that Indiana is in the national championship discussion for football, and yeah, they're running up the prices down there, and my son is going to go because one of his close friends' father is a big donor to Indiana, and they get first crack at some of the tickets at face value, and so he bought as many as they would allow him to buy, and my son was fortunately going to get one and go down there to Miami and watch the championship game. So good luck to Indiana on that.
Who do you think's going to win that? I don't think Miami's up to Indiana, but you know what my record is.
Yeah, I was hoping you would be be cheering for Miami on that one, but well, yeah, obviously Indiana's a higher seed, the number one seed overall, and the only undefeated team in the country. So I think they're going to be. I think they're going to be better from the start in that, but Miami's still a very tough team. But then again, Oregon was too, and Indiana just beat them badly right from the start. Remember, the first snap of the game was a interception and a return for a touchdown. So it started off good and it never let up.
Yeah. Let's talk a little about Bradley, a big win over Northern Iowa.
Yes, that was good to see. Bradley coming home from the trip down to Belmont and Murray State were reeling a little bit. They had started the conference season 3-0 and then took 2 losses on that trip down there to those 2 cities. And then coming home, they had these 2 home games against Drake, and of course in Drake they just buried them big time. Had a lead of 40 points at one time and ended up winning by 30-some. And then Northern Iowa's a little tougher this year. They came in undefeated, and Bradley managed to hold on and win that game as well. And 75-69 was the score on Saturday. And Bradley did not play their best game, but they had a very good defensive effort and held Northern Iowa down to 69 points, just enough to overcome them and win. And so, yeah, now Bradley's sitting at a tie for second place in the league at 5-2. Murray State right now looking like the team to beat for the Missouri Valley Conference. They've started the season 7-0 and in first place, but Bradley tied with Belmont at 5-2 now in second place. Things don't really get a whole lot easier for Bradley, though. They now have to go on the road and play some games here coming up, and it's going to be a little tougher playing on the road and of course trying to win on the road, although their first game, their next game coming up tomorrow is at Evansville, and Evansville's not having a great year, and so that looks like that could be a winnable game, but then Bradley comes back and plays on Saturday at Illinois State, and that's going to be a tough game.
Yeah. ISU fell on some hard times in a major upset, losing on the road to Valpo, and that was a surprise, and that had to hurt.
Yeah, that is one you didn't expect. ISU was picked in the preseason poll of the coaches and the media as the favorite, number 1 pick overall, and so you wouldn't expect them to lose to a team like Valparaiso, but things like that do happen, and then they returned home and lost to UIC at home, and so now they're on a two-game losing streak and reeling a little bit from that. So I'm sure they're going to give Bradley their best effort on Saturday. They have a game at Indiana State on Wednesday of this week, so they have a game before they play Bradley on Saturday.
I could be wrong on this, but I think ISU depends a lot on three-point shooting, and if if their shooters are having an off game, that puts them behind the eight ball.
Yeah, they do rely a lot on the three-point shot, as many of the teams in the Missouri Valley do, and most of these teams that we call the mid-majors, the teams that you don't see listed on the top 25 of the country, the big conference teams, they don't get the highest caliber recruits necessarily, so you have to rely on three-point shooting a lot, and Illinois State's been kind of hot and cold with that. The preseason player of the year for this year was going to be Chase Walker, their big center, but he's kind of had a sort of hot and cold year himself, where he'll play a really good game, and I think he's won the weekly Missouri Valley Player of the Week award a time or two, and then he's had a few games where he just hasn't performed well at all, and Bradley's had some pretty good success defending against him, with Bradley having the big 7-foot center who's strong enough that the ISU guy can't bump him out of the way and get easy inside shots. So I like Bradley's chances at ISU, but again, it's a road game, and those are just never easy.
All right, Dr. Gene Siller, I hate to bring it up, but particularly since we have two Green Bay fans in the stands here.
Three.
Three?
We are a
I didn't know
unanimous
you were
panel.
for Green Bay. Oh, you're one of these fans that get on the bandwagon
I
at the
went to
last
my
minute.
first Packer game at Lambeau Field in August of
So there, Roger.
1985.
Well, that doesn't make you a Judy come-lately fan.
We're fair and balanced, Roger, so you can comment.
Yeah. Let's see, it's 3-1. You sound like WCBU now. At any rate, they're about fair as balanced as my weight. At any rate, your thoughts on another sterling comeback by the Chicago Bears?
Well, I hope somebody's doing a welfare check on Kyle this morning, too. I was texting back and forth with him, and he was getting a little overconfident after halftime in that game, and then suddenly I didn't hear a whole lot from him.
He's in ICU.
Yeah, what a game. A lot of Bears fans probably were disgusted, as I was, in that first half. They were terrible. Defense played fairly decent, but not enough to hold Green Bay from scoring 21 first-half points, whereas the Bears maybe shouldn't have gone for all those fourth downs. I think they were only 1 for 5 in fourth down plays through the first half of that game, and managed only that one field goal. But, yeah, they came roaring back with 25 points in the fourth quarter, more than anybody expected, and that was enough to overcome the big deficit. A little bit of it was luck. I think most Bears fans would even admit that, but it also was a team that is well coached and has some pretty decent talent at some of the key positions that was able to overcome that big lead of Green Bay. I do think most Green Bay fans, and there seems to be an awful lot of them in the Peoria area, I'm not sure why, but I think even most Green Bay fans were a little nervous going into this game because the Bears aren't the Bears of the last few years. They're not the Green Bay's punching bag. They are a pretty good team, and they showed it there on that game.
Yeah, I think I'm among many who slit their wrists when, on his own 32-yard line, 4th and 4, I think, that he went for it. That's just insanity.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons at halftime I threw in the towel. I am a Fairweather fan. And when I checked later, and believe it or not, I talked to a couple of other Bear fans. They did the same thing. They switched channels.
Really?
Said, I don't want to watch this mayhem. But was that the 8th comeback or 7th?
I
Very-
think in the
was
regular
six.
season they had 6 comebacks, yeah, and then this
So
might have been the 7th one where they had a fourth quarter comeback. And the biggest of those fourth down plays was that one late in the fourth quarter. I think I don't remember if it was 4th and 8 or 10 or something like that. He threw a long pass down the field that was completed, and I don't think anybody expected that. And like I say, it was maybe a little bit of luck, but also maybe a little bit of divine intervention.
Yeah. Okay, anything else you want? Bradley's next game is against...
It's tomorrow. They come back and play again pretty quickly here tomorrow night. And that one is in Evansville, downtown Evansville, at their Ford Center. That's the Civic Arena, one of the 2 schools that play in a Civic Arena in addition to Bradley. Evansville kind of off to a little bit of an unsteady start this year. They've had some games where they've looked pretty good, but then other games that they just have not. So hopefully Bradley can catch them on an off night and try to take home another road win.
All right, thank you as usual, Dr. Gene Sidler, for the update on Bradley basketball. Appreciate it. A little reminder, anybody can go to bradleyfans.com and get up-to-date information.
Yes. All right, thanks, everybody.
You bet. Have a great day.
Take care, Doc.
And John Meisinger's here. John, did you have a nice trip to the Sunshine State?
Very enjoyable. Yeah, we were down south pretty far, and never got above 78 degrees, and it never
That
got
was
below
perfect.
70 degrees.
Really?
So it was it's gorgeous. Yeah, down in the Keys is just a lovely area down there, and we
Did you
did
have some
nothing but
Where
Key lime
exactly?
key lime pie. Well,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
I didn't have any though. They have deep fried key lime pie. I saw at one of the restaurants we went to.
What area were
That
you
would
in?
be. We flew into Key West and drove north to Marathon Key, and we were at a resort there, and it was absolutely gorgeous. And
Now, did you go to one of those places where you could choose to get into the ocean or the Gulf? I don't know which side of you were
that would have been on the Gulf.
on
this
the
time,
Gulf
yeah.
side, the Gulf of America, or have fun in your own swimming pool.
Yes,
Guess what?
both. Yeah.
So what did you choose?
I didn't get into any pool or water source at all. I sat and watched everybody else do it, and I read, and just enjoyed time. And
That's the way vacations are supposed to be, aren't they?
yeah, we didn't
Just
really do
relax.
anything. We went to.
Well, you ate.
We did. Yeah, we ate.
Okay.
Probably too much.
Yeah,
but,
well, that's
but we
okay. You're
ate,
on
and,
vacation.
they had a nice tiki bar where we were, and you could just hang out there and.
Busy season? Is this a busy season in Florida?
It's funny. It seemed real busy in Key West, but in Marathon Key, it wasn't so much. And at least at the resort didn't seem real busy. But you go to the Winn-Dixie, and man, there are people you're running. I mean, it's like a
Like a
road race
Winn-Dixie,
in there.
yeah.
And got to see quite a bit of border patrol and other
Really?
agents that were. Well, he said they just come in boats like crazy down there, and
Oh,
so
really?
yeah. So there were. I'll bet you per capita police to people is a remarkable number.
Well,
It's
I'm
just a
glad to hear
remarkable
that. That's the
number.
way it should be.
So,
all right,
anyway,
we're
it
going
was
to talk some
beautiful.
more about it. Right now, we're going to do the news headlines, and then we're going to talk to the gentleman, Darren Bailey, a Republican seeking the Republican nomination to run as governor against J.B. Pritzker. That's coming up. But first, let's get into our news. And the news this morning brought to you by Bob Manning, Senior Vice President, Financial Advisor with the Grandview Capital Group at Morgan Stanley in Peoria. For all your investment needs, check out Bob Manning. He's available at 309-671-4653. Morgan Stanley, Smith Barney, LLC, member SIPC. Here's Terry.
Funeral services will be held at 10:30 this morning for Peoria hockey legend Mark Olson. Visitation will be 1 hour before services at St. Thomas Catholic Church in Peoria Heights. The 98-year-old Olson died Saturday, January 3rd. It's with sadness we report the death of well-known Peoria businessman, 61-year-old George Jacob. Owner and president of Brewers Distributing Company for Anheuser-Busch, Jacob was appointed to the city council in 2005 to replace Jim Ardis, who was elected mayor. Jacob suffered major injuries in a motorcycle accident on a motocross track in Hollis Township in 2010 that left him paralyzed. Despite his condition, he continued his contribution to numerous charitable causes and agencies. We had nice tributes and remembrances for Mr. Jacob from both former Mayor Jim Ardis and former Congressman Ray LaHood. Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell is under investigation by the Justice Department. Powell and other members of the Federal Reserve have received grand jury subpoenas related to testimony Powell gave at a recent Senate hearing regarding renovation costs of the Federal Reserve building in Washington, D.C. Many financial experts are awaiting a decision from the Supreme Court about President Trump's use of tariffs. A lot of money is at stake if the Supreme Court rules President Trump does not have the authority to impose tariffs. Some retail companies like Costco, Revlon, and Kawasaki Motors have filed lawsuits demanding refunds of tariff money they had to pay for foreign products they purchased. They're still protesting at opposite ends of the world. Protests in Minneapolis continue after the shooting death of a woman who hit an ICE agent with her vehicle, while thousands in Iran are calling for the end of government rule because of the country's poor economy and corruption in high places. At least 500 people have been killed by Iranian police and troops. More than 10,000 people have been arrested. Authorities in West Point, Mississippi have arrested a 24-year-old man for murdering 6 people, 4 in his own family. The 2 others were a church pastor and the pastor's brother. Behind bars is Derica Moore. No reason for the shootings has been determined as of this morning. In local news, Peoria Mayor Rita Ali has issued an email announcing the decision to cancel or pause a couple of Martin Luther King Jr. events. The mayor said there would be no Freedom March or Commemorative Service Leadership Awards ceremony, but gave no reason. However, the annual Martin Luther King Jr. luncheon that's scheduled for Monday, January 19th, is still on. The Peoria Civic Center event this year features the controversial Sunny Hoskin, co-host of the ABC program The View. And those are the headlines, Roger.
All right, we have a check of the weather brought to you by Advanced Medical Transport of Central Illinois. They've been around since 1991, saving lives with paramedics and EMTs. They serve 65 communities with 54,000 emergency calls a year. When seconds count, count on Advanced Medical Transport of Central Illinois. Now the weather with Dave.
Well, good morning and happy Monday, January 12th to everybody out there. Mostly sunny as it's clearing up there today. It's a little breezy this morning, though. Today's going to be a high of 45 degrees. If you're like me, I'm going to wash that car before it gets too cold, right? Tonight's going to be cloudy and 34, so not even to freezing tonight. Tomorrow, clouds up a little bit, a little breezy and windy, though, but with those winds come some warm temperatures, a high of 52 degrees. It'll feel like spring, but guess what? It's not. Okay, tomorrow night, cloudy and 33. Now, Wednesday, things start changing a bit. Cloudy with a 30% chance for afternoon snow showers. High of 38, but that temperature will be dropping throughout Wednesday, getting a chilly Wednesday evening, and then Thursday rebounding to some sunshine, but a high of only 28. Friday, chance for afternoon snow, a high of 37 as the temperature starts bottoming out to more like January this weekend. Right now, we're currently holding at 27 degrees.
I know you mentioned snow. I believe they're talking more of like snow showers.
Snow showers.
Now, what is a snow shower? I want to know what a snow shower is. Is it a snow? Is it rain?
It's just brief outbursts of snow
That's
foliage.
what we had Saturday.
Yeah. I was
Well,
driving
I don't know
through a
what
snow
we
shower.
had Saturday.
so was
I
I.
said, what is this? And nobody knew in the car.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
In the car.
Well, you know, we were driving through the snow
I
showers.
was doing that on
gotcha.
Saturday
Yeah.
also, snow showery.
I think it's a combination of hail, rain, and snow. Well, maybe hail I could be off base on that one.
You could probably ask Kyle, but I don't know if you're going to get a good answer
Yeah,
today.
I think he's mentally ill after the Bears demolish his Packers, for that matter. I wonder what Darren Bailey, who is seeking to become the Republican nominee to run for governor against J.B. Pritzker, I wonder, let's find out what kind of a fan he is. Good morning, Darren.
Well, good morning to you, and what a beautiful day it is right now across Illinois.
Yes, but you avoided the question. Are you a Bear fan or a Packer fan?
Oh gosh, hey, I'm all things Illinois. No,
I can tell you're a politician.
Definitely cheering the Bears on.
Okay,
there you go.
Okay, there you go. There is salvation there. You came close to losing 4 votes.
Well, I'll tell you what. I voiced the fact that I'm a Bears fan, and I've heard on my Facebook and social media, the Packers fans certainly made themselves known. So I will tell you that. So there are a lot of Packers fans in Illinois, but nope, I remain all things Illinois.
Well, let's talk about Darren Bailey. Obviously, you have somewhat of a Southern accent, so I'm going to guess you live in Southern Illinois.
That I do. I'm 30 miles south of Effingham. I'm a solid, 3 hours kind of southeast of where you're at, and I'm born and raised right here in the Clay County, Illinois. We're about we're an hour straight west of Terre Haute, Indiana, and an hour and a half straight east of St. Louis.
Yes, and you are a farmer. Tell us a little bit about yourself, if you would, Darren.
Well, thank you very much for that. So, I graduated high school in 1984. 4 years earlier, I met my wife Cindy. Her dad was hired to be the principal of our high school. My dad was currently the board president at the time. So when she showed up, we locked eyes, and we've been together ever since. Graduated high school. I got an associate degree at Lakeland in agricultural production. And then after that, I've been on the farm. My passion is to work on the farm. Our passion is to make a difference in life. We spent our lives building our local, working in our local church, working in our local school. I spent 17 years myself on the school board of North Clay Unit 25 here in Louisville. Spent the last 12 of those as board president. We're just difference makers. We started a lot of our children in our school were making bad decisions and getting in trouble. So we'd ask them, "What's going on? Why are you doing this?" And they said, "Well, there's nothing to do." So we started a ministry right across the street from our high school, and where on Friday and Saturday evenings, high school, anybody could come. It was a coffee house atmosphere. There was tutoring after school to help, and that then eventually evolved into a Full Armor Christian Academy. We have 2 locations down here, a preschool through high school. And then we have 4 children, 13 grandchildren, and right now currently 1 on the way. I know many people are aware of the tragedy that we went through 3 months ago with my son, his wife, and my 2 beautiful grandchildren were killed in a helicopter accident. So about 2017, I got a little frustrated that my state rep was supporting tax increases, and I got a little too noisy about it because, it's not the easy thing to do. You get on Facebook and you complain, and it took off like wildfire. People in our district had really no idea what government, was doing, and especially in probably one of the most conservative districts in the state, that our state representative was proposing these tax increases, and therefore people began to come to me and said, "Hey, why don't you represent us?" So we did. We prayed about it, and we believed that was a mission field where God wanted us. So we jumped in. It was a tough battle, but we won 60-40. And I thought I was just going to serve 10 years and come back home, but COVID hit, and I was able to step into my Senate position. So I've served as a state rep, served as a state senator, in 2020. Many people may remember that I sued J.B. Pritzker in June over the COVID lockdowns because I didn't believe that government had the authority or the right to close down business, to close the churches down, to have the impact they were having. And we actually won that lawsuit, so I was able to go around the state encouraging a business to open back up, and then that then opened the door to run for governor originally in 2022. We came up short in that run because simply people as a whole just simply didn't get out to vote. There was only a 43% turnout, and that therein lies the problem of the state of Illinois. People aren't voting, and so I was really I was done. I had no intention of running for governor earlier this year, but I just life happens, and people speak up, and people encourage, and here we are running again to make a difference because I have a passion for the state. I believe it can and should be different, and we learned a lot. Kind of like you want to talk about the Packers and the Bears. The Bears had a winning season, for quite some time, and I know firsthand, and even here in farming, you learn more when you lose. You learn when you get knocked down. And if you learn, and if you can put something different into practice, then just maybe like the Bears, you can turn it into a victory. And that's exactly, as people begin to encourage me to run again, we had to do a really hard dive. Can a Republican win this seat? Can a downstate farmer win this seat? And then, okay, what needs to be different? So we've spent the first 3 weeks, once we started considering this, exploring that, and we realized that, yes to all those questions, and yes, we made mistakes the first time, so what can we do to change it up, to attract and empower the people to show up and vote? So in a nutshell, that may be more than you bargained for, but that is me in a few minutes.
Well said, Darren Bailey. We're talking with a gentleman from Southern Illinois who is seeking the Republican nomination to run against J.B. Pritzker for the governor's mansion. What do you see are the primary issues in this race for the governorship?
I think the issues are obvious. They're winning issues, because I'm hearing from the people that wouldn't talk to me in 2022 in downtown Chicago. These last 3 years of J.B. Pritzker's reign have stifled the state. So it's obviously, and the number one issue is obviously affordability. Property taxes have skyrocketed over the last 3 years. People simply cannot afford to be making their property tax payments, which in many instances are larger than their actual mortgage payments. Utilities, my goodness, look what's happened the last 6 months with down here in the MISO region, in the Ameren area. Utility rates practically doubled last July. Up in the ComEd area where you guys are at, they're going to be continuing to increase for a while. And then out in the rural areas, here in the next 2 months, we're going to see some pretty sharp increases because of failures that J.B. Pritzker failed to put into place to protect all this. And the government in Illinois very much has a stake in this and could be offering relief right now, but they failed to. Public safety is certainly an issue in Cook County. Chicago, there's 1,600 vacancies in the police department, and many of our counties and many of our municipalities are suffering, number one, from the lack of adequate law enforcement, but then most of all from the lack of being able to do their jobs and protect the citizenry. And then obviously education is the final pillar. By the state-owned admission. Go to Illinois State Board of Education, look their information up, and you'll see by their own testing, they show and prove that 70% of the children that we're graduating every year cannot read, write, do math at grade level. So all of that has the heavy hand of Illinois state government residing on it. and that needs changed, and that's the main catalyst that's driving people out of our state, and those are the main catalysts that's prohibiting new business and families to come back and make this state the great state, make the city of Chicago the great city, make Peoria the booming industrial machine that it once was. We can do it.
One of the issues in this campaign every year with state offices, Darren, is that Illinois is a diehard, by the numbers, Democrat state. We don't have a single Republican in a state-held office. Are you, pardon the vernacular, spitting in the rain in trying to change the vote count, you might say? Are there enough Republicans and maybe unhappy Democrats to make a difference in the election for the governorship?
Well, first of all, the data is there that shows that there are enough Republicans to win this seat. The reality is they're not showing up to vote. It's almost like they are rebelling. It's my vote doesn't count. It's rigged, Chicago. And so they're just like, oh, I'll show you. I'm just not going to vote. So the data suggests and shows that there are enough conservative-minded people to win an election, but they're not voting. Also, the data shows that in this unique situation that we are in right now, we look back at the vote in 2024, and we see that about 700,000 more Republicans, conservative votes, showed up than they did in 2022. Now, we also see the number that was generated on the Democrat side. However, history also suggests that when you have a leader, whether it's a president or whether it's a governor, that those same voters who might normally vote for J.B. Pritzker are probably still going to show up to vote, but they are fed up and they are ready for something different, a change. And like I said, history shows that maybe they'll show up and they won't. If we can get a 15-20% of those not check that box, they're probably not going to vote for me, but they're probably not going to vote for J.B. Pritzker either. And they'll go on down the line and check the boxes for the U.S. Senate and their representatives. But we are looking at an opportunity that comes along, every once a generation or every 10, 15, 20 years, that the opportunity is ripe for as I suggested earlier, number one, a Republican, number two, a downstate farmer to take this election. And when we do that, it's kind of like when Rauner won years ago, we've got to actually get something done. We've got to bring Democrats to the seat and to the table. And through my experience, although I was the banner bearer for these conservative ideals as a state rep and as a state senator, because I was representing my district, but I also have what I believe to be a unique respect from the people on the other side of the aisle on the way that I dealt with them, the way that I handled them, just simply the way I respected them. So I firmly believe that once a governor, once myself, as I continue to, educate and inform the people of how it could be, I think that we're going to be able to bring people to the table to begin to implement, a difference. And that's why I'm running, because I do believe, I do see there is a roadmap to win this election.
All right, Darren, thank you again for being here. I'm one of the panelists here. I'm a retired school principal, and I know that education in this area is a very, very important issue to our voters. And so I guess my question is twofold. Number one, what are the biggest challenges you see? And second, if elected, what would you propose as far as education reform?
Well, what I witnessed in the 4 years that I was in Springfield was just the continued heavy hand of government, these mandates, unfunded mandates, just continuing to tell the school system what they can or cannot do, whether it's with their buildings, whether it's with their hiring practices, and then ultimately with the curriculum. I believe in local control.
Amen.
I believe that the local school boards should make the decisions on how they want to educate, how they want to implement, who they want to hire, and then ultimately, that's something that I'll go around delve off here just a second, but I'll go around the state a lot of times and I'll ask people, who is your state rep and who is your state senator? And it's shocking how many people do not have any idea that if they spit out a name, it's usually a congressperson, and most of the time not even their congressperson. So people, we've got to educate and reinvigorate voters' desire to understand, to get engaged, who their elected officials are. So you break that down, and my question is, as frustrated as we are with our schools, when was the last time that you showed up at a school board meeting? You don't even have to say anything. You don't have to show up to rebel or be noisy. Just show up and sit down and listen, and just listen to and look and see and get to know the people that are on your school board. And ultimately, maybe you will receive that call to run yourself. So we've got to focus on many of our businesses and you up in your area with all the industry that you have. We are not pumping out and educating children adequately to show up at the workforce, to sit behind a computer, to go out on the floor of Caterpillar and begin working. We have got to start getting back to the basics of reading, writing, and arithmetic, and unfortunately, those are not the focused on basics this day and age, and preparing our children to be able to think and be able to live and be able to, just expand their minds to think outside the box so that we are preparing for our future of Illinois. So that's how I'll be focusing. The governor has all the agencies, the Department of Education. The governor picks the people that will be serving on those agencies. So, there'll need to be a house cleaning because there's massive failure right now. The governor chooses who sits on these college boards as trustees. So we start getting back men and women of common sense and integrity set on these boards that know what they're doing, and it's not just a patronage position. We will begin to see change.
Well, thank you for that, and thank you also for your service on school boards over the years, too. It's near and dear to our heart, so thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
It's certainly a thankless job, but it's an honorable job.
Yes.
Darren, what has been the response when you announced you're going to give it another shot?
So, I literally went from, there was a Sunday morning that I was up at 2:30 in the morning, and that it was troubling me. I was content. I wanted to stay on the farm with my children. That was my inner desire. But there was this, we all get it. It's just this tugging. It's just like, I think maybe I need to be doing this. And my wife, Cindy, came in at 5 a.m. and knew I was up earlier and just said, Darren, what's going on? And I said, well, I got this, I can't get this desire, whatever it is. I don't want it to be of me to run for governor. So we prayed about it. We sat on it. And that was on a Sunday morning before church. That next week, for the first time, I had not said anything to anyone. And I began to receive phone calls from people all over the state says, Darren, you need to run for governor. And so that's when we then, spent the next 3 weeks, like I said earlier, just kind of evaluating the process. Can I win, and what's it need to look like? And then upon some of our initial announcements, some of the people that I was working with and helped me do this, that's what they said. They said, Darren, because everyone else had announced by then, and they said, you may not receive a very, people may not want you like they did the last time. I said, that's fine. That's what I need to know. And I'm telling you what, it has been unbelievable, the support, the people's reactions. So, I look at my Facebook page, and like I said, signs don't vote, and Facebook likes don't vote. But since I announced, I was sitting at about 130,000 and get likes on Facebook. And for instance, today we're going to roll over to 164,000. So 40,000 more involvement, just in the last few months picking up. Social media has blown up. When we are showing up at events, as we did this weekend, it was over, and we spent a little bit of time in Southern Illinois because we're going to spend a lot of time up in your area and up in the Chicago and the Collier counties. But even down here where I've been a state representative and a state senator, had 140 people show up at an event at Robinson, and Saturday night had 350 people show up at an event in Vandalia. And as I'm meeting people, over half of the crowd are people that I've never met before. You know, so new people are being engaged. Union Democrats are coming and saying, I'm voting Republican for the first time. I'm voting for you. And it's very, very encouraging. That's ultimately what keeps us going and it keeps us engaged. So very, very excited about about this renewed involvement and energy.
We have something in common. I got up at 2:30 this morning, but it was for a different reason. And
Roger, not time to talk about that.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, that depends on when you got up. Yeah.
It certainly does. It depends on it.
Some about depends.
I was going to say depends is definitely the operative word here.
Yeah, we're a very sick group of people here in Peoria.
Did you say sick or thick?
Yeah.
Both
Yes.
for that matter.
Yeah, okay.
What's your thought about the governor has admitted that the Safety Act needs some revisions and adjustment, you might say. What's your position on the Safety Act again?
That Safety Act is a dangerous piece of legislation. I was a state representative going in to be a state senator when that was on the floor, and I spoke, I voted, we did all the things that we could do, but man, that is a dangerous. That Safety Act has been responsible for a lot of life that has been lost in Illinois, and that breaks my heart. The Safety Act is most of the time the reason why police officers and people in law enforcement have retired early, have left Illinois for more respectable jobs in other states. So I fully intend to be able to work to repeal that. It needs no modification. It needs repealed. So by the very essence that J.B. Pritzker has indeed admitted that it needs fixed, my question is, he admitted this several months ago, any point in time the governor can call the legislators to office. And by the very fact that he fails and refuses to do this, I mean, it's a talking point for him for his presidential campaign in 2028. That's all it is. Otherwise, he would have done something about it immediately. So the very fact that this arrogant tyrant made this comment shows you just how dangerous that is. I mean, my goodness, a couple months ago, a young, beautiful lady was put on fire in Chicago by a man who had been a person who was here illegally, but who had also been in and out of the system and let go over 70 times, and only until about 3 weeks after he set the lady on fire, and he was let go again. He tried to put City Hall on fire, and they finally arrested him, and to my knowledge, they still have him in custody. But I am sick and tired of reading these stories about these dangerous people recommitting dangerous, heinous crimes because they've let go. And many times in Chicago in 2022, I witnessed it. I was brought into these precincts. I witnessed people being brought in by the arresting officer only to see that person, the person that committed the offense, was back on the street before the officer was able to complete his paperwork. So it very well could be the most dangerous bill that exists in Illinois right now.
Yeah. Darren Bailey, a Republican candidate for governor in the state of Illinois. Thanks so much for joining us this morning. Good luck on your campaign.
Well, we will see you Wednesday night, I believe, at 6 o'clock at Veterans Pub and Pizza. So looking forward to seeing you then. I'll be up there. Come on out and meet me in person and ask those questions. And thank you.
You bet. Are you buying?
I'm not for sure. I'm fast.
Okay, that's very important. If you want me there, you got to be buying the pizza.
You show up and we'll feed you.
Okay.
BaileyForIllinois.com and introduce yourself to me when you get up there. And God bless you guys.
Okay,
Thanks a lot.
Thank you very
Have a
much.
great day. Darren Bailey, a Republican candidate for governor in the state of Illinois. And it's always interesting to learn a little bit about, he's been in the news, but never have had the opportunity to have a conversation with him. Very informative, good information. We have, speaking of information, we have the news, weather, and sports. from our distinguished panel this
Kind
morning.
of extinguished.
Well, we're
today.
extinguished.
Yeah, on WAZU FM 90.7 in Peoria, Illinois. Also on YouTube. Thanks for being a part of our program this morning. Good morning, everybody. It's a beautiful morning, a Monday morning on the 12th day of January, and we begin with a check of the weather brought to you by our friends at Spoon River Home Health. You never know, and you certainly don't, when you or someone you love will need help recovering from a health problem. Spoon River Home Health, those folks have been serving families with nurses, therapists, and home care assistants for over 30 years. They're compassionate, professional, and skilled at what they do. And you can learn more today from Spoon River at 309-245-0723. Dave has the weather.
I do indeed. Good Monday morning, everybody. It's bright and sunny out there as we start our week, one of the second full weeks of January. So mostly sunny and windy today, though, but a high of 45. So what a nice looking day out there, too. Tonight, cloudy and 34, so it will not even get to freezing tonight. That's good news for January. Tomorrow, the clouds come in, a little breezy, but a little warmer, high of 52 degrees. Tomorrow night, cloudy and 33. Wednesday will start off the day cloudy, still kind of warm, but then the temperature drops throughout the day. 30% chance for some afternoon snow showers, which we defined as a quick outburst of snow earlier. High of 38, but then dropping throughout Wednesday afternoon. And then Thursday, sunny, and January starts setting in. High of 28. Friday, chance for some afternoon snow showers. High of 37, and then that temperature kind of gets into more January-like weather this weekend. Right now, currently, we're holding at 27 degrees and climbing.
And we'll be hearing from our good friend, Mr. Weather, Kyle Varnold, coming up in the next few minutes, following the news, weather, and sports. You know, we learn early that hard work produces results, and that's why Realtor Kathy Reynolds is so successful. She works hard to get results for her clients. You can learn more from Kathy if you're in the market to buy or sell a house at 309-696-2162, 696-2162. I was with her yesterday. She had an open house. And the first person who came to look at the house, and the woman admitted she spends the weekend going to open houses. That's all she does. Have you ever heard anyone as an occupation? I guess it would be more a hobby, wouldn't it? Yeah, I like to go to open houses and get ideas.
How could you find somebody to pay you to do that?
Well, she made, she just, you
just
like
something to do?
You like to bowl, and I don't know what you like to do.
Nothing.
Definitely
not going to go look at somebody's house. A bowl of ice cream sounds really good right now.
You know, that sounds like a wonderful hobby. What do you do? Nothing.
Nothing, and it's great.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know why I brought this up, but anyway, let's get into the news. And here's Terry.
Funeral services will be held at 10:30 this morning for Peoria hockey legend Mark Olson. Visitation will be 1 hour before the services at St. Thomas Catholic Church in Peoria Heights. The 98-year-old Olson died Saturday, January 3rd.
Well, it's with sadness that we report the death of a well-known Peoria businessman, George Jacob. Owner and president of Brewers Distributing Company for Anheuser-Busch, Jacob was appointed to the city council in 2005 to replace Jim Ardis, who was elected mayor. Jacob suffered major injuries in a motorcycle accident on a motocross track in Hollis Township in 2010 that left him paralyzed. Despite his condition, he continued to contributions to numerous charities, causes, and agencies. And we spoke to former Mayor Jim Ardis at the 6:30 hour this morning, and he had some really good things to say about George.
A deadly plane crash in Colombia claimed 6 lives, including popular singer Jason Jimenez. The 34-year-old and 5 others of his staff died when their plane crashed moments after takeoff. They were to perform in Medellin.
Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell is under investigation by the Justice Department. Powell and other members of the Federal Reserve have received grand jury subpoenas related to testimony. Powell gave a recent Senate hearing to renovate the renovation costs of the Federal Reserve building in Washington, D.C.
Many financial experts are awaiting a decision from the Supreme Court about President Trump's use of tariffs. A lot of money is at stake if the Supreme Court rules President Trump does not have the authority to impose tariffs. Some retail companies like Costco, Revlon, and Kawasaki Motors have filed lawsuits demanding refunds of tariff money they had to pay to the U.S. government for foreign products they purchased.
If the Supreme Court rules against the White House, it could trigger at least $150 billion in refunds and a negative impact on the stock market. Political analysts say it could cost the United States a major negotiating tool.
They're still protesting at opposite ends of the world. Protests in Minneapolis continue after the shooting death of a woman who hit an ICE agent with her vehicle, while thousands in Iran are calling for the end of government rule because of the country's poor economy and corruption in high places. At least 500 people have been killed by Iranian police and troops. More than 10,000 people have been arrested.
President Trump has warned the Iranian leaders to stop killing protesters. Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei said that military would attack and Israeli bases in the Middle East in retaliation if there was any foreign interference.
Authorities in West Point, Mississippi have arrested a 24-year-old man for murdering 6 people, 4 in his own family. The 2 others were a church pastor and the pastor's brother. Behind bars is Derek Moore. No reason for the shootings has been determined as of this morning.
In local news, Peoria Mayor Rita Ali has issued an email announcing the decision to cancel a couple of Martin Luther King events. The mayor said there would be no Freedom March or commemorative service leadership awards ceremony, but gave no reason. However, the annual Martin Luther King Jr. Luncheon Monday, January 19th, is still on. The Peoria Civic Center event this year features the controversial Sonny Hoskin, co-host of ABC's very important program, The View.
And that completes our news now, WCBU.
From the WCBU Newsroom, I'm John Norton. The Peoria City Council will vote on a new 3-year collective bargaining agreement with city firefighters at this week's meeting. The city and firefighters Local 50 began negotiating on the new contract last fall. The new deal has a 5% wage increase this year, followed by 4% and 3% raises in the following years. The union members voted to ratify the agreement last Tuesday. The ICE agent who shot and killed a woman in Minnesota last week is a 2001 graduate of Peoria Richwoods High School. 43-year-old Jonathan Ross shot and killed Renee Good, a 37-year-old mother, as she tried to drive away from ICE officers. WCBU confirmed Ross's identity through an examination of school and court records. Trump administration officials have defended Ross's actions without naming him. A Republican candidate running for a second time to unseat Governor J.B. Pritzker is proposing an Illinois version of DOGE. Darren Bailey is a former legislator and downstate farmer. He says Illinois has a government waste and fraud problem. The conservative is suggesting an Elon Musk-style deep dive into spending, minus the mass firing of workers, and then publicly reporting the findings. That's even though Illinois already has a state auditor general who does that kind of oversight.
It's time for a fresh start and a fresh new look so that the people of Illinois can, and I believe will, have confidence in leadership in Illinois.
Bailey lost to Pritzker in 2022 by double digits. And a new law in Illinois requires schools to come up with a process for when a student's citizenship status is called into question. Democratic State Senator Karina Villa of Chicago sponsored the Safe Schools for All Act. She says if immigration enforcement comes to a school, you might have
someone at the front office who's frazzled. When they see someone in uniform, they call the student down, or they start going through the files without knowing that maybe what they're doing is harmful for the student.
The bill prohibits a child from being denied a free public education based on perceived or actual citizenship status. I'm John Norton, WCBU News.
Well, let's get into sports. And ladies and gentlemen, Dave Pultz is here, sitting in for the vacationing John Meisinger.
Yes, he is quite a vacationer, isn't he now? Yeah, he's still on vacation. I think he's yawning and enjoying it. Well, as we look at this Monday morning, there are three of our panel that are green with envy, as we should say, because...
I thought you were green because you were sick.
Oh, well, I think we are, but hey, it's... basketball and baseball season's coming. No, anyway, the Chicago Bears, as you know, delivered, I would have to say, a pretty good comeback, rallying from a 21-3 halftime deficit, and to stun, and I do say stun, those Green Bay Packers 31-27 at Soldier Field. So, again, A Tale of Two Halves is the name of this book, right? So, Caleb Williams threw for 381 yards and 2 touchdowns, including that game winner to DJ Moore. So again, congrats to the Bears, and we'll just look next year for us.
All right, I have a question for you, Green Bay fans. Was this a coaching loss?
There is some question that Mr. LaFleur perhaps made some, but you know, it's not just that; it's a couple missed.
Oh, you got a missed field goal.
Yeah, that field goal
got a missed
really
extra point.
Yeah.
So that's what, 4 points?
We're armchair
lost by 4.
quarterbacking here on a Monday morning.
Yeah, it's
but,
easy to do.
It is, but it just happened.
Hey, you know,
and let's
what's
not
with
forget
fans?
some key injuries too. So yeah,
right.
So
got any other excuses?
no, the fact that
No. We don't give excuses.
We're gonna move on.
You know,
to the
you
rest.
the truth.
You got to give Caleb Williams credit.
Oh, no doubt about it.
381. That's almost 400 yards.
What, 25 points in that second half? I mean, that's something else.
Yeah.
I'll give him that.
You almost could call them the cardiac kids.
Well, that's what he's already put Bear fans, a few of them, in the hospital,
Yes, he has.
just waiting for the outcome of a game. Like
And
more
one-
than once.
And one of those is Kyle Varnold.
Well, yeah.
We don't know whether he's going to.
He may join us. You never know.
Yeah.
Well, you know, speaking of what's coming up too, let's kind of take a look at what happened around the NFL as we move to that
All right, good
8
job.
teams
Keep
moving on next
moving
week.
along.
Rams edging the Panthers 34-31. Now an upset, of course. The 49ers upsetting the Eagles 23-19 in Philadelphia, and the Bills holding off Jacksonville 27-24. The nightcap, as it were, of last night, Patriots 16 over the Chargers 16-3, which kind of put us to sleep. Yes, I would have to say that. And of course, we'll finish our dance card tonight with the Texans versus the Steelers.
That's good. This guy knows sports, John.
Yeah, he does. That's why I brought
So
him
again,
in the
those
last
8
week.
teams will move on to the NFL as our season kind of cruises into that February 8th Super Bowl, right? Oh my gosh. So it's going to be interesting. Now let's take a look at the NBA as we move on to a different kind of sport, right? Knicks, of course, over the Trailblazers, 123-114. Raptors over the 76ers, 116-115. Now that was a close game. I did see, yes, absolutely. Timberwolves over the Spurs, 104-103. It was an evening or a weekend of very close games, and that's what happens in the NBA. And the Thunder, 124-112 over the Heat. So interesting weekend there. Moving on to Big Ten, where some great basketball happened this past weekend. Illinois goes on the road and beats Iowa 75-69. 19 points from Kenton Wagler. So that was quite an accomplishment. Nebraska staying perfect, I tell you, 16-0, racing a 16-point deficit to beat Indiana behind 32 from Lamar Wilkinson. So we'll look at Indiana splitting, of course, losing basketball, but of course winning in football, which we'll talk a little later about. Nebraska then will take that number 4 ranking in the top 25. Arizona goes to number 1 in our top 25 for this week. And a big story, too, Wisconsin knocking off Michigan. Now, Michigan was the number 2 team in the top 25. Wisconsin comes 18 points behind to beat Michigan 91-88. We call that an upset, don't we? Let's take a look at Bradley in the Missouri Valley. We move along. They outlasted Northern Iowa 75-69 at Carver Arena. They're going to move to 12-6 on the season. Jaquan Johnson leading with 17 points. Jonovic added some second half scoring. That makes up for that earlier in the week loss to Murray State, doesn't it? So we're looking really good with Bradley. And as we heard earlier, they do move into a tough stretch, and they need our support. Let's take a look at some high school basketball in the area. Peoria Area High School boys basketball. There was some great showcase action. Now that rescheduled inaugural Peoria Showtime Classic that was canceled in December because of that snow moves on to this past Saturday at Richwoods. And what a thriller. Richwoods beats Chicago Kenwood 59-58, a 1-point victory.
It has come from behind.
I would say yes, it was. Sealed by a final second defensive stand from Caden Johnson. Tony Bradford also adds that strong inside scoring as the Knights move on into January 14-2 record. That event also featured East Peoria, which is another great team with an Illini recruit, versus Chicago Morgan Park earlier in the day. And Peoria High continues its strong January stretch after a 75-43 win over Danville. Now, again, as you look, that showed that Peoria basketball is alive and well as our teams, our 15 area teams, are going across shootouts this month, heading into that critical February playoff time. And finally, finishing up our college ranks, too. And as we talked about earlier, what a difference with the college ranks as a college football series, correct? Indiana football over Oregon, who would have thought? And Rogers buying breakfast for everybody because of that, I think.
Everybody, everybody including everybody?
Well, I don't know about that. But
Oh, okay.
56-22 over Oregon. And, of course, Miami is over Ole Miss, 31-27. That sets us up for 1 week from today, January 19th, with the national championship.
Wow.
And that is sports for this Monday.
Oh, this just in, too. It was Beverly Hills 90210 and the Cleveland Browns 3.
Ah, there you go.
Back to you, Roger.
I have a suggestion for Peoria School District 150 to avoid teams getting to play on their home court. Why not open Woodruff High School's basketball gym?
Well, actually,
that would be a neutral site.
That is where the showcase was originally supposed to take place.
That was where it was supposed to be.
Yeah, it was. There was scheduling. Yeah, and that is where it will go too. And again,
I'm happy to hear that. So people are recognizing you've got a beautiful school building and beautiful facility. You've got a swimming pool that's empty and apparently not being used, which should be. And you've got a great basketball court that has seating on both sides. That's where we would hold the assembly. Right. And when you open it up, the stage becomes part of the basketball court. Not part of the court, but part of the facility, put it that way.
Well, that, they do have the new gym.
Yeah, they do. That's right.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Oh, well, it was new when they renovated in the 80s.
It's interesting, Roger, just said Brooks Somerville, who was one of the organizers of this event back in December, the news coverage, had said that is the key reason that this showcase now and into the future would be at Woodruff, because it is a neutral site for the schools.
Yes.
It features a wonderful, wonderful
Good
place.
parking.
And it does put some great parking. It puts eyes on a court. And it tries to recapture, as those of us who remember those old Robertson Fieldhouse shootouts for many years, it tries to rekindle and recapture some of that quote-unquote magic. So,
yeah. Well, Sid, I do remember when Morton would have a good basketball team and come to Peoria at the Fieldhouse and complain that it was home court. It was a home court for nobody except the Bradley Braves.
That's right.
So that argument didn't hold water to those of us who enjoyed beating Morton. Now, I live in Morton, so I should keep my mouth shut. Otherwise, somebody would like to paint my house with kerosene. For that matter. Well, that's sports. And
how come sports can get done so much better and so much quicker when I'm not here?
Listen,
I don't know
that's not true, Terry. That's not true, is it? No.
John delves into the details.
I would tell you we're very fortunate to have the people reporting sports. No radio station in Peoria or TV station has knowledgeable people. For one thing, I've often wondered, those who report sports on television, how many of them actually played competitive sports? And I'm in that category. I did growing up, but the closest I came in high school was playing baseball as a sophomore. Thor, who do you think? I think you might know the answer. Who was my baseball coach?
Was it Stonebach?
He founded one of the most popular places for ice cream in the city of Peoria.
Oh,
Emo Harms.
Emo Harms, yeah. Emo was so. I had a math class from him, and he had impaired hearing,
What?
And and you know, as is the case with some people, not all, who have hearing loss, they think everybody else has hearing loss.
That's true.
He talked real loud. You could hear him down the hallway if you're walking with the door closed. You could hear him. God love him. He was a wonderful man. And isn't that something he's best remembered for? Emos, than as a coach and a teacher for that matter. Well, we have on the line it just showed up as mental health special office, and apparently Kyle Arnold is a patient there. Are you there, Mr. Weather?
We're with you on that one, Kyle. We're with you on that.
It's okay. There's always next year, Kyle.
Yeah, that's something the Bears say. We're not used to that as Packer fans.
That's you know what? You're right. You're usually on top of the world. And the way
we're usually much.
I was going to say it would be different if it was the Bears at 21-3 at halftime. It would have been different. But you guys were ahead. You had the game under control, and then the sky fell.
We were winning that game, and I have a text group of some mostly Bears friends and a few Packers friends from church and a few other like Irish Fest people, and we have like this text chain because it's like a good Bears-Packers rivalry. And I jokingly texted when McManus missed the 55-yard field goal at the end of the first half, this field goal is going to come back and haunt us in the fourth quarter, and I put like a smiley emoji or something like that. And son of a gun!
Yeah. That 5-yard penalty did not help, did it?
Yeah.
Well, no, there wasn't even a penalty on that. It was Coach Johnson iced the kicker, which is brilliant move on his part. He's a great coach. And he iced the kicker, and it's like, well, they gave him a practice shot. Let's see if he gets it again. Nope, he missed it. Yeah. And now it's 21-3 at halftime, which is still really, really good. If you're the Packers, you're feeling really good about first-half performance, how poor the Bears were doing, particularly Caleb Williams. I mean, there were some throws where you're questioning how he's a quarterback in the National Football League, because it's like, who is he throwing to? But then, Cardiac Caleb in the fourth quarter, he was like laser focused. I don't know how he does it. 25 points. Nostradamus couldn't see this coming. I mean, it was like, are you kidding me right now? It was unbelievable.
Hey, you know, I think you're being too hard on your kicker. You know, 55-yard kick in Soldiers Field is not exact and precise. We're getting kind of cocky with some of these guys who are doing 48, 50, 55-yard kicks. But that's not when you see the camera angle, what that kicker's looking at, that goalpost looks like a toothpick.
Well, no, you're right. But we talked about it on Friday and how he said in the playoffs, these kicks are so vital.
Yes.
These extra points, these field goals are so very vital. And then those words that I uttered on your broadcast on Friday come back to haunt me and my beloved Packers on freaking Saturday night. And they came back to haunt the Panthers on Saturday. And they haunted the Eagles yesterday. I mean, in the playoffs, in the postseason, you have to be on your game. Jordan Love was on his game.
Yes,
our defense, we held. The Bears were 2-6 on fourth down in Saturday night's game. If you go 2-6 on fourth down, that means 6 times you go for it on fourth, and you only convert 2 times. That's 4 turnovers, and we had 2 interceptions. That's 6 turnovers. How we failed to catastrophically lose that game and categorically lose that game. It's just, talk about just heartbreaking. I mean, that was a rough night. Rough night.
Did you have to get up at 2:30?
No, I didn't wake up at 2:30. I had a hard time sleeping.
Well, that was my point.
The best part is the Packers always make it to the Super Bowl, though, right? That's where that Lombardi Trophy comes back. So
that's right. It's Lombardi,
we're always represented in the Super Bowl.
We are. It's true, but we'll see
I mean, we'll see what happens this week. So I listen to you guys in the morning too, but on ESPN Radio, Adam Schefter is reporting that Green Bay wants to make a deal happen because, I don't know if you guys heard this yet, there is a rumor from a pretty well-known source in the sports world that John Harbaugh is interested in the head coaching position at Green Bay.
Are you that unhappy? Are you that unhappy with your coach? Okay.
No, Matt LaFleur, when you look at his record, he's the winningest coach currently in the NFL. So, no, let's keep LaFleur, but it's just the fact that Harbaugh knows what kind of talent the Packers have, and for him to express interest in Green Bay as a Midwesterner, Jim and John Harbaugh are Midwestern boys, that's a big deal. So LaFleur, had we beaten the Bears, he would have had a much better negotiating tactic, whereas now he's coming to the table, Ed Policy is coming to the table for Green Bay, and hopefully they work out some sort of contract. I hope they keep Gutekunst too. But one person I really hope they don't keep is Rich Basia, the special teams coach, because I did not know this until yesterday morning, he's the highest paid special teams coach in the NFL. And special teams is where we always falter, be it McManus, be it on the kickoff, the punt, return team. We had the Bears dead to rights, and somehow we kept shooting ourselves in the foot on special teams, particularly in the fourth quarter. Very, very disappointing. Very disappointing.
Well, I'll tell you what, the weather today is very disappointing. Is not very disappointing.
It's a great transition, Roger.
Yes, I think it's a beautiful morning.
At any rate, let's talk about weather now. Okay. At any rate, we will. Yes. Anyways, more sunshine than clouds today, I think. We'll be in the mid-40s, a very, very nice, a warming trend as we start the week, so we'll be in the 50s tomorrow. Definitely a few more clouds tomorrow, I think, particularly during the day. I think overcast skies will be the primary story. And then the cold front comes through tomorrow night. It'll be a dry cold front, but it will be a cold front nonetheless. And then we're down in the mid-30s on Wednesday. And then we're in near 30 on Thursday, more sunshine. And then we have another system that looks to be a Clipper system coming in on Friday that's going to bring us a chance of snow. Maybe an inch, maybe 2 inches. Also, shout out to any of your listeners. They didn't want me to say their name, but they did message me on Sunday morning. And they were very complimentary. And they said, by God, you were right about the snow on Saturday. Because on Saturday we talked about snow, and I said maybe up to a half an inch. Apparently that's what was reported at the airport, was a half an inch. And
well, you nailed it.
The little bit of joy in my Sunday morning where I questioned everything, particularly life, the universe, etc. But yeah, that was very, very nice of them. So thank you for loyal listeners and viewers and gentle readers for following along. That system was pretty just, it wasn't surprising to me, but I know a lot of people were taken aback by it because it came in almost like a snow squall with those winds. And the ground's covered. Well, it has a dusting of snow today, but it was a half an inch, almost exact. So
you like I said, you nailed it as usual. Now you're talking about snow or snow showers. The National Weather Bureau has been calling the snow we're going to get snow showers. You're talking that we might get what, half an inch?
Yeah, I think we'll see maybe an inch, maybe 2 inches on Friday. Yep.
Oh, really? Okay. Well,
snow showers. So as a former National Weather Service employee, snow showers is just a conservative way of saying we have snow in the forecast, but we're not going to go into accumulation ranges because we're 5 days out.
I see. Well said. Yeah. See, this is what makes this guy so unique and well informed. I have another question. There's a local station that's saying their weather guy has been doing weather longer than anybody in Peoria. When I heard that on one of the stations, I said, I think Kyle Barnold has been doing it longer than anybody.
Well, depends on who the weather guy is, because I think Chris and I are about the same age. But Brian, if they're referring to Brian,
No, it was Chris. It was Chris.
Oh, it's Chris.
Yeah.
No, yeah, Chris and I are the same age, so
Okay.
I'll give that to Chris.
Okay,
Yeah, he's
all
good.
right.
I like
That's
Chris.
very big of you. But
Yeah, well,
for our purposes, we think you are the longest-running meteorologist, and we'll run with that.
I appreciate that. I would, if I could do an accuracy test with Chris, I would be interested to see how we come out. Cause,
Ooh, yeah.
That's a challenge, sounds to me. Let's call Lee Ranson in, too.
Yeah.
The gauntlet has been thrown.
Yeah, I would call Lee in. Lee's retired. He'd probably hang up.
We went to Europe with he and his wife, who was kind of the celebrity lead for Alexander Travel. And I've known Lee for a number of years, one of the really nice guys. And we had more fun with Lee than we were supposed to have. He's just neat guy. And he did that for a number of years.
He is one of the nicest, gentlest people you've ever met.
Yeah.
And then you meet his wife, and it's like, how do you get even nicer than Lee?
And
That
she
is
is.
a saint.
She is.
She is an
She's a wonderful woman. You're right. It was a joy.
Is, and just amazing couple, God-fearing, good people. God bless them. I can't sing his praises enough. He's just a great guy all around, and his wife's even better.
Yeah, amen to that. Okay, any finishing touches before we depart?
Yes. The big finishing touch is what we've been advertising, what we've been talking about. The cold is coming. So we have a cold front coming in tomorrow night that puts in the 30s. We have a cold front that's going to come on Saturday that's going to put us in the teens, but the wind chill is going to feel like 0 on Saturday. The single digits on Saturday. The single digits on Sunday. The single digits on Monday. We have a very, very cold trough that is going to be digging into the Midwest this weekend and looks to be continuing through the majority of next week before our next snow system comes next Friday, which could be our next big winter storm when we talk about several inches of accumulating snow. So we'll keep an eye on that, but that would be Friday the 23rd of January. And this Friday, it'll be a clipper, maybe an inch, maybe 2 inches of snow at this point. There's no indication it's going to be stronger than that. There's really no indication it could be weaker than that at this point either.
Guys. Who let him into the studio, Roger?
A lot of people in our studio do not like that forecast.
Yeah, no, they probably won't, but...
Wait a minute. That's the Green Bay fans last night after they lost. That's cheating.
Yeah, that's probably... My responses were expletive filled that I can't repeat on the radio.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah, I hear that.
It's a family show. Yeah.
Exactly. It's a family show. But no, that's what we're looking at on the horizon. And whether you heard it here first or you heard it from Chris or someone, be prepared because the cold is coming.
Great.
Yeah.
Sounds like somebody shoveling snow.
Yeah.
What that was.
Yeah, well, happy Monday, everyone.
Okay.
I think they heard you.
They heard you. All right. Thanks, Kyle.
That's the people of the National Weather Service. That's right.
Clamoring for attention.
No, that's that band of people at University and Main Street, the Rent-A-Mob. All right, let's get into our final newscast, if you don't mind. And the news this morning brought to you by your hometown Community Banks division, the Morton Community Bank. Look for the clock tower and you'll know they have time for you. Member FDIC. Terry with the headlines.
Funeral services will be held at 10:30 this morning for Peoria hockey legend Mark Olson. Visitation will be 1 hour before services at St. Thomas Catholic Church in Peoria Heights. The 98-year-old Olson died Saturday, January 3rd. It is with sadness that we report the death of well-known Peoria businessman, 61-year-old George Jacob. Owner and president of Brewers Distributing Company for Anheuser-Busch, Jacob was appointed to the city council in 2005 to replace Jim Artis, who was elected mayor. Jacob suffered major injuries in a motorcycle accident on a motocross track in Hollis Township in 2010 that left him paralyzed. Despite his condition, he continued his contributions to numerous charitable causes and agencies. Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell is under investigation by the Justice Department. Powell and other members of the Federal Reserve have received grand jury subpoenas related to testimony Powell gave at a recent Senate hearing regarding renovation costs of the Federal Reserve building in Washington, D.C. Many financial experts are awaiting a decision from the Supreme Court about President Trump's use of tariffs. A lot of money is at stake if the Supreme Court rules President Trump does not have the authority to impose tariffs. Some retail companies like Costco, Revlon, and Kawasaki Motors have filed lawsuits demanding refunds of tariff money they had to pay for foreign products they purchased. They're still protesting at opposite ends of the world. Protests in Minneapolis continue after the shooting death of a woman who hit an ICE agent with her vehicle, while thousands in Iran are calling for the end of government rule because of the country's poor economy and corruption in high places. At least 500 people have been killed by Iranian police and troops. More than 10,000 people have been arrested. Authorities in West Point, Mississippi have arrested a 24-year-old man for murdering 6 people, 4 in his own family. The 2 others were a church pastor and the pastor's brother. Behind bars is Tarika Moore. No reason for the shootings has been determined as of this morning. In local news, Peoria Mayor Rita Ali has issued an email announcing the decision to cancel a couple of Martin Luther King Jr. events. The mayor said there would be no Freedom March or Commemorative Service Leadership Award ceremony, but gave no reason. However, the annual Martin Luther King Jr. Luncheon, Monday, January 19th, is still on. The Peoria Civic Center event this year features the controversial Sunny Hoskin, co-host of the ABC program The View. And those are headlines, Roger.
All right, let's get into the exact weather forecast as developed by Breakfast with Roger and Friends. I don't know whether I had to make any adjustments after listening to Kyle or not, but we'll find out from Dave, and it's brought to you by Bob Manning, Senior Vice President, Financial Advisor with the Grandview Capital Group at Morgan Stanley in Peoria. For your investment needs, check out Bob. He's available at 309-671-4653. Morgan Stanley Smith Barney, LLC, member SIPC.
As we heard earlier from Kyle, it sounds like today and tomorrow are the days to get some things done outside.
Yes,
Whatever you have to do here.
Yeah.
Enjoy that sunshine today. It'll be breezy, but it's a high of 45, and it sounds like we won't see that for a while. Tonight, cloudy and 34. Now, tomorrow, cloudy, a little warmer, high of 52, and then it goes down to 33 tomorrow night. Now, Wednesday is when the cold moves in. 30% chance for afternoon snow showers, as we heard, which is an abbreviated way of saying maybe a little light snow, but maybe
Yeah,
not.
I think he did make that clear, didn't he?
Yeah. So high near 38, and then, of course, the temperature starts dropping throughout the day. Thursday, 28 for a high, and then as you head into the weekend, it just gets chillier and chillier with some snow showers off and on. Currently, we're holding at 27 degrees, but it's climbing, so get out there and enjoy these 2 days.
Yeah, that's right. And on behalf of everybody, I think they all enjoyed your scores. Yeah.
Oh, listen to the thunderous applause.
Or that's rain on the roof. I'm not sure what it is, but yeah.
Well, there were
Or some
only
really
four,
heavy reindeer.
4 people.
Very heavy reindeer.
John Meisinger is here, and he's spent some time down in Florida. Marathon? Is that what
Yeah,
we're
Marathon
saying?
Key.
Ran a
I
marathon
thought
in
that
Florida is what I
Not
heard.
really.
I thought that was a gas.
That was, I had gas too, but that had nothing to do with
At
it.
2:30?
2:30, that's right.
Morning. Hey, I want to know, because I had a transformation. We used to go down to Gulf Shores in the summer, and I've never been a fish eater. I've not been someone who, hamburgers, mine, so forth.
Yeah.
But, I got a change of mind, because I started, one day, we went to a hole in the wall, and I had a grouper fish sandwich. and boy, that changed my attitude.
Yeah, you get the right fish, it's pretty good.
Yeah, and fresh as well. And when you eat in a restaurant that specializes in seafood in Florida, you're getting it really fresh.
Yes.
Whereas here, they roll it in on trucks, frozen.
Most fish has to be either frozen or eaten right away. But
They've made such great strides. It's frozen usually right on the ship or the boat, the fishing boat. You know, they clean it and freeze it right off
right away.
So it is pretty fresh.
Yeah.
Okay.
When I go on vacation, I go with seafood. I see that food. I see that food. I don't care where it came from. I eat it all.
Well, we eat seafood here this morning.
I see some food over
But
there.
what was your favorite meal when you were? And I'm sure you ate out a lot because when you go on vacation, you don't want the wife or the spouse cooking and so forth.
There's no cooking at home in the resort.
Yeah.
So,
what was the name of the place and what was your favorite meal the whole time you were there?
well, I'll tell you what. This is going to sound funny. We
Probably
went to
a steakhouse.
right. We went to a bar. It was in Key West. And it's
you
called,
were really south, weren't you?
Yeah, well, we were, Marathon is about 45 minutes north, and one of the keys
Key West,
north of Key West. That's where we stayed, but we drove down to Key West on the last day just to experience.
To visit,
And
it's very touristy, isn't it?
And the streets are very narrow. Very narrow, and if you step on a chicken, you're going to get shot. Because there are chickens that run wild down there. I mean,
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Free range.
Chickens and free-range chickens. That's exactly what they
Is
are.
that right?
It's a
Really?
local thing that you cannot do anything to.
No,
When
no.
we were there, it's the same way. You're right. There's chickens everywhere. They come up to you like dogs. Or
Yeah.
like squirrels.
Are you serious?
everywhere.
I've never heard that.
Yeah. Well, we
So
were...
you had chicken?
No, I didn't have chicken because I thought it might be
Tastes like
against the
chicken.
law. But actually, I had a real great corned beef and cabbage.
No kidding,
Yeah,
really?
so that was, but that was at the bar. I really didn't have any seafood myself. Tracy had seafood every meal, but you know, we didn't eat as much as you might think because we had breakfast in the morning and then we just kind of sat and read and. Through lunch, about dinner time, we got a little bit hungry, and we go up up to the tiki bar normally and get something small. But
You know, it's interesting what you say. When I remember going down to Gulf Shores and we had a place, I think they called it the Fish House, you know, real original.
Oh, yeah, very original.
And of course, I didn't order a fish, and the server looked at me like I was from Illinois, which they were pretty accurate on. But then I kind of transitioned, and I haven't eaten there in a long time, but I used to eat. They had a special at the Fish House on University that if you got in, I think before 6 or something like that, they had special, and I really got to enjoying fish in a way that I never thought would happen as a meat and potato guy.
yeah, there was a lot of different fish opportunities there.
But you didn't take advantage.
That's correct. I didn't take advantage. I'm not a big fish fan. I don't care for salmon very much, but I like the light fish, you know.
Oh, I
Like
do
the
like the
grouper
cod.
and the
mahi,
walleye
or the
and the
cod.
mahi. Yeah, so, yeah, but, and there's another part to this too. Things are not cheap when you're on vacation.
No,
And, you know, we went into the restaurant that they have there, which is a very fine dining restaurant. And I know that this sounds pretty cheapish of me, but you know, you could get just kind of just a chicken marsala was like $75.
Are you kidding
I mean,
me?
it was outlandish.
That's outlandish.
It was
That's
outlandish. Yeah, but they were busy.
But they were
all the
free
time.
range.
Free-range chickens. Yeah,
If they had been,
they hadn't grabbed any recently, obviously.
there was nothing free about it.
Nothing free. No, because they had to chase those guys to
Did you get
uh,
a chance in Key
catch
West
'em.
to go to the Hemingway House at all, or did you see any of that?
No, we didn't want to do anything cultural.
Terry, you would like that. The cats are
I
all over the
know.
place. I've been to that house. The cats are laying all over the place.
Well, and they're polydactyl.
Yes, they
They all
are.
have
That's right.
the, yes.
Wasn't he later in life a little bit of a nutcase?
I think
I don't know. We all are.
I think he would be eccentric.
But he did commit.
That's a
He
nice
did
way to
commit
say it.
suicide, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
that
that's-
house was really something. There's cats everywhere, and
Oh,
they're the descendants of the original cats. I
Yes,
guess,
I
so-
have friends. Two of
Yeah.
my friends have been there, and they've sent me pictures. Like, you would go nuts down here.
It was different. They're on the beds. They're everywhere.
Yep.
I mean, it's
Well, we had a good time at the what was called. So if you get to go down there, it's called the Celtic Conch Public House, and it's a rather good size bar. But all the they have windows that slide, so all the windows slid open, and so you were literally sitting in this place, and people were walking by you. It just like kind of like a street bar, but the entertainment was phenomenal. The guy could sing like nobody else, and he was funny, and he sat on the bar, on a stool on the bar, and sang, and it was a lot of fun. And what was the place that
we
you
went
had
to
talked about?
Irish Kevin's, which was
Irish Kevin's, that was
it
one
a
we
neat-
didn't
it
get
was
to.
Really very authentic too. It was now the plane ride, as you and I talked earlier, is kind of interesting coming into Key West. They tell you to brace yourself because you're landing on an island.
Yeah, you are landing.
And then you get off and is welcome to the Conch Republic.
That's
You
right.
walk
That's-
onto
that's
the,
the
they don't say
sign.
Key West. The
Really?
the story behind that.
No,
So evidently there was a tax issue years and years ago, and so just kind of tongue in cheek, they decided that the Key West Chamber of Commerce wanted to quote unquote separate from the United States. So they had an act where they had a retired general of some sort. They took a coconut shell and hit him on the head, and they said, well, that's an act of war against the United States. So they succeeded for like 18 hours or something like that, and repealed the tax referendum, and the publicity stunt kind of stuck, and so today they call themselves the Conch Republic.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, when your sign, when you pull up to the gate on the side of the airport, that's what it says.
Welcome to the Conch
The sign
Republic.
hasn't been painted for
No.
a few years, but it's still there. And we got when we took off on last Monday morning, it was a beautiful day here, cold but beautiful. Got down there and circled Atlanta to get our connecting flight. Circled for 3 or 4 different times, and he kept saying it'll be another 15 minutes before we land. It'll be another 15 minutes before we land. Finally, he said, we've been rerouted to Chattanooga, Tennessee, because we're running low on fuel. So
wow.
we got
Sure,
so
working
we're
way
about
back
10
north,
minutes.
yeah.
So now we're going north again, and about 10 minutes after that, he gets on. He goes, "Well, they're backed up in
Chattanooga?
yeah, Chattanooga. So we're going to send you to Birmingham." So now we're going south, but into southwest.
Did the pilot say, does anybody have a gas can?
Oh my God, that's what I was waiting for. But
Yeah, I
he
would
started
say,
saying,
yeah.
so our 2.5 hour layover ended up being about 20 minutes, and you had to go from one end of the airport to the other. But unbelievable.
Doesn't that build a little anxiety in the plane?
It was well. The thing was, and fortunately, it was people mostly from the Midwest, because there wasn't anybody complaining or arguing about it. Just
It is what
just
it
let
is.
it happen, and it happened. But I know if you got into a few of those other flights that I was on, they wouldn't have been happy.
Yeah, I was going to say, I can imagine sitting there and hear the, ladies and gentlemen, we've just run out of gas.
Yeah.
So
Start
your
flapping your
seatbelts.
arms.
Yeah.
Very quickly.
Please blow hard into the engines in the hopes that that would make us land safely.
But good time was had by all.
Man, that was good. Here's our pet tip of the day.
Today's pet tip is brought to you by Peoria Pet Crematory of Peoria and Lewiston, providing final care for family pets, large and small, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Their phone number is 713-1898. That's 713-1898. More information is available at peoriapetcrematory.com.
Pet lovers are dedicated to their animals, all species from horses to turtles and of course cats and dogs. If you are a pet lover, learn these little-known, somewhat amazing facts about your pet. Walking with our dogs is important for many reasons, but here is one you may not have thought about. When we walk our dogs, they are always sniffing everything along the way. I call this reading the doggy newspaper, and here is why. Animals mark their territory either by rubbing against an object or by spraying urine to identify it as theirs. Another animal comes along and can smell a single drop of urine and is able to tell a great deal about the animal who left the mark. They can distinguish one animal from another of the same breed. They can tell whether the animal is dominant or submissive. They can recognize and identify the other animal. They can tell what the animal has been eating, know whether the other is a friend or a foe. They can tell male from female, and they can even tell the animal's emotional state. So don't rush your dog and tell him to stop sniffing. Take a little time and let them sniff. He's reading the paper, just like you will do when you finish this walk. Just relax and enjoy this time with your pet. And now that you know what he's finding out about the world around him, discuss it with him. He loves to hear your voice and interact with you, especially a good wet lick on the face after he's done all that sniffing. This whisker of information has been made possible by a grant from the Corporation for Public Broadcasting in partnership with Spot, Saving Pets One at a Time, and KSBR Studios. Produced by Joseph C. McGuire and theme music by Stuardo Glasser.
Today's Pet Tip has been brought to you by Peoria Pet Crematory of Peoria and Lewiston, providing final care for family pets, large and small, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Their phone number is 713-1898. That's 713-1898. More information is available at PeoriaPetCrematory.com.
Hey, boys and girls, what do we have, 27 degrees? Was that the last reading?
Yes.
Yeah. And a high today of 45, I think you said. Hey, we haven't had this day in history for a few days, so let's gather it up. Let's start with Friday.
Last week's okay, but yeah.
January 9th, 1768, something opened for the first time in England. What was it?
Starbucks.
And I'll help you out.
Okay.
It was an event that used to be, particularly in this country, something we look forward to in Peoria with great anticipation, but these kinds of entertainment venues are no longer. But the first one, that is correct. The modern circus opened in England. As I said, the first incarnation of the modern-day circus had a debut featuring a circular arena surrounded by tiers of seats and events exhibiting acrobatics, equestrian, and other awe-inspiring performances. At the first performance in London, trick rider and former Sergeant Major Philip Astley snared the public's attention by riding a horse standing up and realized quickly that there was money to be made in death-defying stunts. He added musicians and clowns and built the first circus amphitheater to house his groundbreaking show. And
wow.
That was it.
He described us, musicians,
No kidding,
and clowns,
musicians
and
and clowns.
awe-inspiring feats.
Yeah.
That was 19.
Okay, on January
Joker
10th,
to the right.
2008, something had a debut in India. What was it?
Chick-fil-A?
Chick-fil-A, no.
Definitely wasn't.
Okay,
Wasn't a steakhouse, was it?
due to our time constraints,
Oh, yeah. You
I
gave us
will
some-
tell you it had to do with a form of transportation.
Rail?
the-
What was that?
Is it,
Speak
rail,
up.
a subway, rail?
No,
Bullet train?
no, no,
Uh,
A form of
supersonic jet?
transportation, An airline?
you're speaking too big.
Oh,
Narrow down your expectation.
buses.
Narrow it down even.
Oh.
Taxi cabs.
Narrow it down.
Uber? Like that type
yeah.
of thing, ride sharing,
No,
Uber?
no,
Okay.
A highway?
no. It had to do with the vehicle.
A vehicle, okay.
So
They had a
the form of
smart car.
transportation.
Well, it was a car, but what kind of a car was it in terms of finance?
A
This
cheap
is a
car.
tech-
A cheap
That's
car.
right.
Yes,
that's
very
right.
cheap.
Yes.
Very cheap car, like a Yugo.
Well, it wasn't a Yugo.
Oh.
It was the cheapest car that existed in the world?
Tonka.
It was Tata Motors. Tata Motors. Tata Motors.
That's a whole different
Tata
thing.
Motors, yeah,
That's a whole different thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Keep
car-
abreast of that situation.
It was
right?
called the Nano. Nano.
Nano.
And what was the price tag in U.S. dollars? It was in India.
$3,000?
Too high.
Oh.
$186.
Too low.
Okay.
$1,200.
Too low.
2,000?
Just barely too low.
1,990.
No.
Oh, you're going the wrong
The
way.
wrong
Oh,
way.
I'm going too low. Okay.
You're right. $2,500.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was called. It was 5 feet wide and 10 feet long. It was called the People's Car. It came without a radio, air conditioning, airbags, or power windows. It had a body made of sheet metal and could reach speeds of
35 miles an hour.
65 miles an hour. All right, you're doing well. 1954, January 11th, something happened on television for the first time. January 11th, 1954.
January 11th, inauguration of a president.
And I hope that Kyle Varnold is listening.
Oh, they gave the weather report.
Yes. But what
They gave a
about it?
weather report?
Yes.
Okay.
The first forecaster
Oh.
appeared on television.
Bull
And
Houlihan?
we should have had his.
Really?
Who was the weather forecaster? And Kyle, if you're listening, call in with the answer if you know. He used charcoal stick pencils and 2 charts. He drew weather features that represented the forecast for that day and the next. And his inventive new way to present the weather to the public was inspired by the BBC's goal of showing the importance of forecasting from one day to the next. His name, George Cowling, C-O-W-L-I-N-G.
I was going to say George Shadid, but
George Shannon, yeah. And finally, January 12th, 1919, some worldwide event took place. What was it?
World's Fair.
No?
1919.
In the United States?
The what?
In the United States?
No, it happened in Paris, France.
1919.
Eiffel Tower? Too late.
No.
19th century.
It was a meeting.
Oh, is that Treaty of Versailles? Or no. It was
Big.
the end of World War I.
Is it treaty again?
Well, you're...
Was it a big
you're
meeting?
kind of, yes. Well, it was a big meeting, but among
The world, the Allied
a small, very small group of leaders. It was called the Big Four. And who were the Big Four?
Woodrow Wilson would have been.
Woodrow Wilson is correct.
Churchill?
No, he was leader. So
Oh,
Woodrow Wilson.
Neville Chamberlain?
No.
Georges Clemenceau of
Oh yeah, France.
France.
Yeah.
Prime Minister of Italy, Vittorio Orlando, and
Fernando Lamas.
Great Britain would have
Woodrow Wilson.
been. Yeah.
And they met at the French Foreign Ministry, known as Hooters.
Hooters.
No.
Early beginnings.
Which goes to the Tata car.
It was quite a large meeting.
No, I guess so.
Yes,
Very much so.
and, the League of Nations was established at that meeting.
Well, good.
So
Did
now
not
you
know the Big Four existed.
I didn't know either. Got a great question for tomorrow, so stay tuned for that.
Well, they just reported on the news just a minute ago that a North Valley man is in serious condition after swallowing $250,000 in large bills. No change is expected.
Where's my boo?
I said North Valley man. You didn't even get a result.
He just let that one slide,
That's
didn't he?
right. That's
Yeah.
right.
Well, in the words of one of our friends,
I'm glad we had this talk.
I am too. I thought it was absolutely wonderful. I don't know, whatever, but hey, we have to say goodbye. And golly, we had a wonderful group of special guest on our program this morning. So good to have you back safely.
Good to be
John Meisinger. Thank you, as always, Dave Poles and Terry Chamberlain. We'll be back tomorrow. In the meantime, enjoy the day. Remember, God loves you, and so do we. So long, everyone.